Lu Chang's words echoed loudly in the office. Wei Shanhe looked at his demeanor, as if he were seeing someone from decades ago. The young squad leader who had once confronted the regiment commander just to ensure his soldiers could have a bit more meat. Over the years, as positions rose, he had become more polished and accustomed to saying formal platitudes and grand principles, often overlooking personal feelings. Yet, Lu Chong remained exactly the same as he was decades ago, with his temper unchanged. Wei Shanhe took out a pack of cigarettes from the drawer, silently lit one, and remained quiet for a while. I will establish a special investigation team to conduct a comprehensive assessment of the entire incident, striving for fairness and impartiality, without favoring either side. What do you think? I think your decision is very wise, sir. Seeing Lu Chong's serious expression, Wei Shanhe felt an urge to slap him. You learned to be slick at this moment? You weren't like this when you were arguing with me just now. All right, you can leave now. I don't want to see you for the next 3 months. That won't work. My daughter is getting married next month. If you don't show up, I expect a red envelope. After saying that, Lu Chong placed an invitation on the desk. Wei Shanhe looked at the red invitation, his eyelids twitching uncontrollably. You come here to argue with me, and now you want to reach into my pocket for money? Stop right there. You were the one who said that my daughter is just like your daughter, and when she gets married, you have to give a big red envelope. Lu Chong immediately grinned like a sly businessman. I've been bragging to my old comrades that if you, the big commander, give a red envelope, it definitely won't be less than 10,000. Wei Shanhe was nearly furious and was about to stand up to scold him when Lu Chong quickly slipped away. Wei Shanhe sat back down, took several deep breaths to calm himself down. He took out the letter of complaint from the left drawer, crumpled it up, and tossed it into the trash can. He also poured the remaining tea leaves from his cup into the bin. Wow, there are so many more likes and comments. In a standalone villa, Gu Xiaolu, with her leg in a cast and a band-aid on her face, lay on the sofa, happily scrolling through her tablet. Reading the messages of concern and encouragement, along with the increasing likes, brought her immense satisfaction. This feeling was akin to becoming a big star. In the past, she had never garnered so much attention for her posts. Thank you for the encouragement. I will get better slowly. My depression is starting to improve. When will women finally stand up? I hope there are fewer low-quality men in the world. Gu Xiaolu randomly selected a few sisters to reply to, hoping to gain more sympathy and attention. Then, she tossed the tablet aside and eagerly turned on the TV. It was the latest popular talk show from a certain cultural program. Hello, Qin Feng, we meet again. In the evening, in the hospital room, Zhu Huihui sat by Qin Feng's bed with her computer, smiling and nodding. Qin Feng sat up in bed and said, Commander, I'm really sorry for bothering you so late. In the military, new recruits typically call old soldiers squad leader, and when they see officers, regardless of rank, they generally address them as commander. This is an unwritten rule that represents respect for superiors. Zhu Huihui waved her hand with a smile. You don't have to call me that. It makes me feel old. I'm an old classmate of your company commander. Just call me Sister Zhu. Okay. Qin Feng replied without hesitation, addressing her as Sister Zhu. Gu Xiong has already told me your intention for calling me here, but Zhu Huihui hesitated slightly. That post has been shared by quite a few people. I can only delete the original post. I currently do not have the authority to remove it from the entire internet. Qin Feng shook his head. Sister Zhu, you misunderstood. I'm not asking you to delete the post. Not to delete the post? No, I want you to make a post. A post to clarify? Zhu Huihui thought for a moment. That indeed was a good idea. If the person involved speaks out, it might mitigate some negative impact. However, it was clear that she did not understand Qin Feng's intention. I'm not asking you to help me clarify. I want you to post to criticize us. What? Post to criticize you? Zhu Huihui was dumbfounded, almost thinking she misheard. Qin Feng smiled and said, we need to create dozens more accounts. The more people criticize us, the better. The harsher the criticism, the better. Chapter 118. Intensifying conflicts. Storm clouds gathering. What exactly is the content of the post? What form does it take? Zhu Huihui still didn't quite understand and hesitantly asked. This is outrageous. Their rescue methods are so unprofessional. They only had compressed biscuits and a certain brand of energy drink for the mountain rescue. I usually only drink premium bottled water at home. Family, come and judge. I almost harmed a group of people, so why is the whole world criticizing me? What did I do wrong as a girl? That's hilarious. As a top student from a certain school, you don't know more about hiking than a bunch of you? No education, no wonder you'll never succeed. Seriously, if you can't rescue, then stay out of it. Even if you almost fell, what does that have to do with us? You completely deserve it. Yeah, let us format it this way. It must have explosive points that can grab attention, stir up opposition, and spark discussions. Qin Feng directly copied a certain influencer's post from his previous life and casually made up a few more. The goal, of course, was to intensify the conflict and escalate the situation. The public is very discerning. The posts are just to drive traffic and draw attention to the matter. Once they understand the whole situation, they will naturally weigh it up. So, at any time, One should never lose touch with the masses nor underestimate their power. At that moment, after hearing Qin Feng's words, Zhu Huihui felt a chill run down her spine and couldn't calm down for a long time. As an information operations personnel member of the Special Forces, her sensitivity to the internet was far greater than others. She knew very well the kind of waves that controversial information would stir up once it hit the web. That's ruthless. It's not an exaggeration to call it cunning. However, Zhu Huihui still asked, Qin Feng, have you thought about what consequences this might bring to those young people? It wasn't that she was being overly compassionate. She also felt resentful towards those ungrateful people. The debt of gratitude for saving lives is greater than anything. Yet these individuals not only failed to express thanks, but also repaid kindness with hatred, which was simply inhumane. However, Zhu Huihui thought it was necessary for Qin Feng to consider the seriousness of the situation and the potential repercussions. Qin Feng took a sip of water to clear his throat, and then spoke calmly. I saw that post this morning and privately messaged the blogger, hoping she could quickly delete the inappropriate comments, but she ignored me. In this rescue, my squad leader, Zhao Pengfei, almost bled out to create an opportunity for them to survive, and he still hasn't regained consciousness. You've seen how many of us were injured or had broken arms. But after all this time, not a single person came to visit us, and they're publicly slandering us online. Why should I indulge them? Adults need to take responsibility for their words and actions, and they must also pay the corresponding price for what they've done. Zhu Huihui fell silent. She felt that Qin Feng made a lot of sense. Adults should indeed take responsibility for their actions. Soldiers who risk their lives to protect their country should not be subjected to such slander. Serving in the military requires selflessness and a commitment to safeguarding the people. However, this does not mean that those being protected can act recklessly and spread baseless accusations. You may choose to be ungrateful, but you must not spread rumors or defame others. No problem, I'll handle this matter. However, isn't this a bit light on substance? I mean, what if those people have wealth and power and manage to delete posts and cover things up? Wouldn't that render our efforts futile? Qin Feng raised an eyebrow, looking at her thoughtfully. So, Sister Zhu, what are your thoughts? Zhu Huihui smiled lightly. I wouldn't call it profound. But I just feel that if they really do that in an attempt to cover up their mistakes, we can respond with something significant. Such as? Qin Feng was starting to get interested. For example, those photos of you rescuing people from the fire. Or letting everyone know that the person they are defaming is a first-class merit awardee. Qin Feng inhaled sharply. This woman was not only sharp-tongued, but also had a cunning mind. If the poor company commander ended up living with her, wouldn't he be in for a daily challenge? However, while this approach seemed ruthless, it still left room for redemption. As long as the other party recognized their mistakes in time, was willing to delete the posts, and actively apologized, Qin Feng would be very willing to give them a chance to redeem themselves. But if they insisted on being stubborn and unrepentant, then they would deserve whatever misfortune came their way. What do you think? Zhu Huihui was still seeking Qin Feng's opinion. After pondering for a moment, Qin Feng revealed a harmless smile. I think it's brilliant, haha. Zhu Huihui also laughed, suddenly feeling that Qin Feng's personality resonated with her. The two chatted and laughed for a while, discussing some details. Outside the ward, Ge Jiong, who was watching this scene through the glass on the door, felt a pang in his heart, as if he had swallowed a dozen lemons or drunk a bottle of old vinegar. He glanced at the 2 portions of pig trotter rice he had just picked up from outside and hesitated for a moment, wondering whether to push the door and go in now. Forget it, I'll go in later. They seem to be having such a good time. I don't want to spoil the mood. Ge Jiong's mood felt as heavy as a discarded doll, quite stifling. He placed the food at the service desk and planned to go downstairs for a smoke before coming back up. While waiting for the elevator, a doctor suddenly approached him with good news. Zhao Pengfei has woken up. On the other side, a player was frustrated. Are you seriously a student? Haven't you ever seen a head before? You're playing like a dog. You can't even dodge. What are you doing playing a blind monk? And with that skin, you're trash. I could play better with my feet. Damn, 3 against 1 and still got killed. Can you even play? You're all a bunch of useless teammates. At the Star Domain Internet Cafe, Lu Chang, who had just finished his night shift, was happily roaming the Summoner's Canyon. The data in the top right corner, 0162, made his gaming experience increasingly frustrating. In the Internet Cafe, if he didn't win, he would definitely smash the keyboard. A group of incompetent teammates were completely unhelpful. Failing the promotion match caused him to drop from silver back to bronze. Lu Chang was filled with annoyance and prepared to open a social media platform to vent his frustrations. He habitually took off his shoes, squatted on the Internet Cafe chair, and held a cigarette in the corner of his mouth. Squinting, his fingers quickly scrolled the mouse wheel. Soon, he found his target. Some user. This is ridiculous. I went on a weekend outdoor adventure with classmates and accidentally got lost in the mountains. Why did the rescue team only arrive when it got dark? Are those compressed biscuits edible? Can a farmer's punch even help? I usually drink Evian at home. What is wrong with you, dude? Have some decency. They are rescue workers, not a buffet service. And Evian. That stuff is used to wash pigs in our countryside. After replying, Lu Chang felt his anger dissipate somewhat. Just as he was about to log off, he stumbled upon another post. Strawberry-flavored fairy. I don't understand why the whole world is targeting us girls. Those rescue workers got injured. What does that have to do with us? I didn't ask them to rescue me. They deserve it. Seriously? If you were in front of me, I'd really want to slap you. How can you say such cold words? They risked their lives to save you. And you're just being heartless. Lu Chang's hands flew over the keyboard like he was playing the piano, typing a long response filled with rage. It exceeded the character limit, so he simply opened a new post to continue his rant. After finishing, he felt refreshed and relieved, then specifically searched for related terms. He was shocked by what he found. Good grief. They were a bunch of ungrateful people, and they called themselves high achievers? They claimed to have luxury cars? Do they even know how many wheels those cars have? Lu Chang, fully charged, shared these controversial posts in various chat groups. In a short time, it was as if he had detonated a heavy bomb. The speed at which this news spread skyrocketed. Even the well-known university was suddenly thrust into the spotlight, becoming the target of online criticism. He watched as many strangers flooded the usually quiet school chat group. In the dormitory, Zhao Weiwei, freshly out of the shower, trembled as she held her phone. She felt an unprecedented wave of panic, as if a storm was about to hit. Chapter 119, Rewarding Heroes. Can someone tell me what is going on? Gu Xiaolu, how many posts did you make? I only posted 2 and have already deleted them. I don't know how it got to this point. Who posted all those things online? Hurry up and delete them, you idiot. Do you want to get us all in trouble? Hey, this has nothing to do with us. We didn't go with you. Yes, who caused their own downfall. Posting online and sending anonymous letters, they really deserve their misfortune. In the WeChat group of Brave Nyo Nyo Travel Challenge 16 people, it has become a chaotic mess. As the situation escalated, it has severely impacted everyone's daily life and studies. Faced with the criticism from netizens, classmates, friends, and family, many of them have recently been afraid to go to school, either hiding in hotels or buying tickets to flee home overnight. However, some families with better conditions want to use connections to delete all these negative posts. Ironically, this reckless behavior directly triggered a major scandal. With the influx of concerned netizens, it was revealed that among those who participated in the rescue at that time, there was a hero who had saved over 40 children during an explosion and fire a few months ago. Although the news did not report the hero's name or photo, insiders disclosed that this hero was awarded a first-class merit in the military. This is a significant honor. Even those who have never served in the military know that. Moreover, defamation and spreading rumors are criminal acts. Slandering soldiers is even worse. Not to mention, this is a firefighting hero. Such reckless actions have gone beyond hitting a wall. They have hit a titanium plate full of thorns. Soon, the leadership of a certain university was summoned for talks by relevant authorities. 18 students were collectively given severe reprimands. Among them, 6, including the ones involved, were expelled from the university. Meanwhile, the one who deliberately distorted facts and sought attention through posting not only faced expulsion but was also administratively detained by the police for 5 to 10 days, leaving a criminal record. It can be said that their reputation was truly tarnished, and they were dealt with severely. At the same time, the school sent representatives to express condolences to the injured rescue personnel and sincerely apologize to the new recruits who were defamed. Before leaving, they even left behind 200,000 in cash as a token of gratitude and compensation. Watching the apology announcement posted by the university's official Weibo account, the new recruits were all smiles, grinning from ear to ear. As the saying goes, justice may be absent for a while, but it will never be late. What nonsense. If it weren't for our class's clever deputy making a big deal out of it, do you believe that justice would reach us even after we retire? Yes, of course. From now on, I will believe in Brother Feng's eternal life. Just as everyone was chattering away, the door was pushed open. Everyone quickly stood at attention. Good morning, Commander. Gu Xiong walked in with a smile. What are you all chatting about, looking so happy? Li Jiaxing chuckled. Commander, you don't know yet, right? The leaders from that school came this morning to thank us and express their apologies, and they even gave us a substantial amount of condolence money. Gu Xiong laughed heartily. It's fine to express gratitude, but you must not accept the condolence money. We will have to return it later. Huh? We have to give it back? Looking at the elongated faces of the crowd, Gu Xiong put away his smile and straightened his face. Protecting the common people is the duty of us soldiers. It's our responsibility. What more do you want? Besides, didn't I bring you good news? Upon hearing this, the crowd's faces quickly shifted from cloudy to sunny. Their expectant eyes were fixed on Gu Xiong. Clearing his throat, he turned to Qin Feng by the bedside and said, according to the information disclosed by the commander, the higher-ups have evaluated this matter and determined that each of you has made outstanding contributions during the operation. Comrade Qin Feng, you are awarded the second-class merit. Wow. The crowd immediately looked at Qin Feng with envy. Having been in the military for some time, They were well aware of the value of merit medals. A second-class merit is something that typically requires significant sacrifice. While sometimes one can earn a second-class merit from participating in competitions or drills, the significance of earning it through saving lives or combating armed elements is entirely different. Moreover, soldiers who have received honorary medals are prioritized for promotions or staying in the unit. Even after transitioning to civilian life, they are more likely to receive better job placements and higher retirement benefits. Although Qin Feng already had a first-class merit, he was still very pleased to receive the second-class merit. After all, who among soldiers would complain about not having enough rewards? Qin Feng's goal was to be adorned with honors. Having just 2 medals, he felt he was still far from that goal. So, he immediately pouted and jokingly said, "Huh, squad leader, why is it only a second-class merit? I thought it would be another first-class merit." With a thud, Gu Xiong gave him a light knock on the head. Since the guy had injuries to his arms and legs, his head was fine for a little tap. "Do you think a first-class merit is as common as cabbage? Last time you got a first-class merit because you saved many people, and it had a huge social impact. So they used you as a model to encourage others to learn from you. This time, although your contributions are significant, it was more of a collective effort. Getting a second-class merit is already quite good, and you're being picky? If you don't want it, I can tell the commander to change it to a verbal commendation." "Of course I want it." Qin Feng laughed heartily. "I was just joking." He immediately stood tall, smiling as he saluted. "Thank you to the organization for recognizing me. I will continue to work hard and achieve even better results." Seeing his overly cheerful demeanor, Gu Xiong couldn't help but recall how Qin Feng had been chatting happily with Zhu Huihui in the hospital a couple of days ago. He thought to himself that he must find an opportunity to question the kid properly later. He wondered if Qin Feng had his heart set on his own white moonlight, a term for an idealized love. If that were the case, Gu Xiong would directly arrange for Qin Feng to meet Zhu Huihui after he recovers and is discharged. After all, the kid was in good shape, healed quickly, and could take a hit. Then, he turned to Qi Meng, Li Jiaxing, and Chen Sanqi. "You 3, even though you didn't directly participate in the combat, you all performed outstandingly and played a crucial role in protecting the evacuation of the common people. So, the decision has been made to award each of you a third-class merit. As for the others, they will all receive commendations." Gu Xiong added. "Note that it's a commendation from the division, not from the battalion." Oh, yeah. Everyone jumped and danced like a group of excited spirits. The most thrilled were Li Jiaxing and his 2 companions. In fact, the mountain search and rescue was a collective effort of the entire new recruit company. It just so happened that their squad was the first to reach the summit and encountered the lost individuals. Later, although it was said they were escorting the students down the mountain, they were actually trying to save themselves. Strictly speaking, they only played a leading role in maintaining order. The real planners and distractors of the enemy were Zhao Pengfei and Qin Feng. Therefore, their contribution was essentially a matter of luck. Wait. Qin Feng suddenly called for everyone to stop their celebration and looked at Gu Xiong. "Company commander, what about the squad leader's merit?" "Yeah. What reward does the squad leader get? Is it a first-class merit? Do we even need to ask?" The squad leader was injured so severely, he nearly lost his life. "It's definitely a first-class merit." In the face of everyone's chatter, Gu Xiong's expression stiffened for a moment, but he quickly concealed it. "Didn't I just say? A first-class merit isn't something easily obtained. Zhao Pengfei and Qin Feng should both receive second-class merits. A second-class merit is fine. It's still much better than our third-class merits." Hee. The group was cheerful, like a bunch of happy goofballs. As long as the squad leader could receive a reward, they were pleased. However, Qin Feng was staring at Gu Xiong's face, remaining silent. Just now, he had caught a glimpse of something unnatural passing across the company commander's face. Moreover, the company commander had just used the word should, indicating that the higher-ups had not yet finalized the merit assessment for Zhao Pengfei. Instantly, Qin Feng began to overthink. But before he could sort out his thoughts, Gu Xiong had already noticed Qin Feng's odd behavior. After all, this kid's mind was not quite like that of an average person. Being too clever was both a blessing and a curse. "Qin Feng, come with me for a moment." "Yes." Qin Feng hopped along like a one-legged Iron Man, following him to the corridor. Just as Qin Feng was curiously wondering what the company commander wanted to say, Gu Xiong suddenly became unusually serious, his face taut as he looked at him. This made Qin Feng's heart race, and he felt inexplicably nervous. "Qin Feng, I need to ask you something, and you must answer me honestly." Go ahead." Gu Xiong's tone was cold. "Tell me, are you interested in Zhu Huihui? Do you want to pursue her?" Qin Feng. "Pursue that fierce lady? Company commander, you really overestimate me. I'm not a hero who fights tigers." Chapter 120. The death penalty and the dead are 2 different matters. In the northern part of Jinshan Corner, there stood an extremely luxurious manor. In a classical-style study on the 3rd floor, a faint sandalwood scent wafted through the air. The incense burner on the corner of the table emitted wisps of blue smoke. A man in his early 30s, wearing silver-framed glasses and a plain white t-shirt, sat quietly in a chair reading a book. The book he was engrossed in was written by a remarkable figure. The yellowed pages revealed that he had read it many times before, yet he found it just as captivating each time. Suddenly, his phone, which was placed beside him, rang. He put down the book and answered the call. Hello, Dad. Are you enjoying your vacation in the Maldives? Xiang, I need to ask you about your brother. Do you know anything about the situation? The man paused slightly, then furrowed his brow and asked with concern, did Shaka get into trouble again? Upon learning that Xiang was unaware of the matter, the tone on the other end softened a little. No longer accusatory, it turned into a tone of resignation. I just got news that your brother was arrested in a foreign country. A foreign country? What was he doing there? Not long ago. He mentioned wanting to open up a new channel for the family business, claiming it could bring tenfold or even 100-fold profits. I scolded him for that. The voice on the other end trembled with anger, but more so with disappointment. Xiang straightened up, his expression turning serious. My foolish brother didn't actually go there and get caught, did he? Has he lost his mind? Everyone knows how strict the regulations are there. How could he dare? Let us not jump to conclusions. The voice on the other end sounded much older now, sighing deeply. Although Shaka can be reckless and lacks your capabilities, he is still your half-brother. You both share my excellent bloodline and have inherited my genes. Therefore, I don't want anything to happen to him. And I certainly don't want to lose a child before his time. Do you understand? Xiang furrowed his brows tightly, feeling troubled. But Dad, you know the rules there. Over 50 grams means the death penalty. If Shaka dared to go, he must have brought a significant amount. I can't just. The voice on the other end interrupted sternly. Don't waste time with excuses. I know you're smart. If you want to. There's definitely a way to get him out. He is your brother, and one day the family business will be entrusted to both of you. You must save him. Understood, Father. I'll do my best. After hanging up, Xiang's furrowed brow instantly relaxed. He made himself a cup of tea and savored it. As if the recent incident was of no consequence at all, even unable to disturb his mood for reading and enjoying tea. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Then, a burly man in a suit pushed the door open. Young master, here is all the information you asked me to investigate a while ago. Xiang raised his hand to take it and casually began to flip through the documents. The materials detailed Shaka's entire course of action, including the route taken, how many were killed or injured, and where the encounter with the traveling students happened. Additionally, it details how he ultimately met his demise. Xiang looked at the burly man and casually asked, do you know where Shaka is temporarily detained? Which location or prison? This is still under investigation, but I believe there will be results soon. However, the burly man hesitated and asked, young master, you don't really plan to rescue him, do you? That guy is just a useless person. If he comes back, he'll only compete with you for the family fortune. It would be better to use someone else's hands to eliminate him. Xiang not only didn't he get angry, but instead smiled faintly. After all, he is my half-brother. If something happens to him, how can I, as his older brother, just stand by? Also, about the new type of drug found in his room. Have you analyzed it? The burly man shook his head. The purity is extremely high, far surpassing anything we've sold before. Our chemists can't produce such quality. I wonder where Shaka got such a high purity substance. From the east, Xiang answered without hesitation. Are you saying Shaka went over there to bring back another batch? Is there a possibility that he wants to bring back the person who makes this stuff? Hearing this, the suited man suddenly had an epiphany. No wonder his account suddenly showed a decrease of 20 million. It turns out it was a deposit for someone. But according to the information we received, there aren't any experts among the arrested individuals, not even a trace. Xiang smiled. Though my brother lacks great wisdom, he has plenty of clever ideas. The person must have been hidden by him. Only he knows where exactly. Are you suggesting we need to rescue him? Exactly. But the situation over there is quite severe. Shaka is definitely facing the death penalty. The death penalty and the dead are two different matters. Xiang smiled as he took a sip of tea. You know, before the timing is right, I have to put on a show for the old man. Moreover, the person who manufactures this new type of drug will be of great help to our future plans. So, Shaka can die, but it must be delayed a bit. Contact the Demon Mercenary Corps, send over a deposit of 1 million, and let them know there's a big job coming up. Yes, young master. The burly man exited the study and closed the door behind him. Xiang brewed a cup of tea, but his cold gaze fell on the last page of the document. My dear brother, you finally listened to my advice and were about to achieve great things, only to stumble at the hands of a bunch of young fools. You are, as always, incredibly foolish and seem to lack common sense. In the hospital ward on the 6th floor, room 623, a TV was replaying the drama Soldier Assault. For many military enthusiasts and veterans, this show is not only considered the pinnacle of military dramas, but also a classic among classics. Even the later popular shows like Special Forces 1 and Fire Blue Blade could not shake its status in the slightest. It is precisely this drama that has shown everyone that a military show without female characters and romantic plots can still be so captivating. The reason lies in the vivid and authentic characters portrayed in the series. There are no rebellious college students who defy authority, no mischievous new recruits who disobey orders, and certainly no special forces shouting awkwardly, "We are a group of warriors from hell." From Su Sanduo, Wu Liuyi, to Shi Jin, Gao Cheng, and Yuan Lang. Each character embodies the essence of a soldier. The theme of perseverance and not giving up is woven throughout the narrative. Of course, there are many plot points and characters that leave viewers with lingering emotions. At this moment, Zhao Pengfei is wearing a patient gown, half reclining on his hospital bed, staring blankly at the television while his mind drifts elsewhere. Although it has been over 10 days since that life and death battle, every time he closes his eyes, he cannot help but remember how Qin Feng diverted the enemy for him. As the television switches to an advertisement, Zhao Pengfei prepares to change the channel. With his left hand in a cast, he can only awkwardly grasp the remote with his right hand. 1 press, 2 presses, 3 presses. His fingers tremble so much that he can barely complete the action. On the 7th attempt, he finally manages to press it, but accidentally holds down the volume button. Suddenly, the sound blasts loudly, almost painfully. The nurse outside hears it and frowns, asking him to lower the volume as other patients need to rest. Zhao Pengfei, feeling like a child who has made a mistake, fumbles around until he finally manages to restore the volume to normal, but he breaks into a sweat from the effort. This isn't the first time this has happened. Ever since he was able to sit up, he has noticed this problem. Taking a deep breath, Zhao Pengfei slightly turns to reach for an orange on the bedside table. After several attempts, he realizes he can't even grip it, let alone lift it. He feels as if his hand is like a loose claw in a claw machine. 10 tries might yield only 1 success. On his 4th attempt, he finally manages to grasp the orange. What should have been an ordinary action brings him immense excitement and joy at this moment. However, when he tries to bring the orange closer, his right hand spasms uncontrollably, causing the orange to fall to the ground. It rolls along the floor until it collides with a pair of leather shoes, finally coming to a stop. Chapter 121. He is a good soldier. But I am not a good squad leader. Oh, you're recovering well. You can sit up now. If you want an orange, just press the call button and have the aide bring it to you. Gu Xiong smiles as he picks up the orange and places it back on the bedside table. Along with him, Bai Yuan arrives, beaming while carrying a basket of fruit. Squad leader, instructor, I want to salute you in this state. Zhao Pengfei tries to push himself up from the bed, but both of them quickly press him back down. What are you doing getting up, patient? Moreover, if we're going to salute, it should be us saluting you. After saying this, Gu Xiong kicked Bai Yuan. Bai Yuan quickly reacted and adjusted his glasses with a smile. Yes, it should be us saluting you. After discussions at higher levels, due to Comrade Zhao Pengfei's outstanding performance during the operation, it has been decided to award you a second-class merit medal. With that, Gu Xiong took a small wooden box from his pocket and placed the second-class merit medal on Zhao Pengfei's chest. Come on, salute the hero. The two of them stood tall and saluted Zhao Pengfei, who was on the hospital bed. Looking at the exquisitely crafted second-class merit medal, a smile immediately appeared on Zhao Pengfei's face. After joining the military for so long, this was the first time he had achieved such significant merit. In peacetime, earning merit is not an easy task, and a second-class merit is enough to demonstrate his efforts and contributions. Thank you, company commander and instructor. Thank you for the organization's recognition. Your reward is not just this. There's more. Gu Xiong said with a grin. When you get out of the hospital, the new recruits will be coming to the company. We'll first assign you to our logistics for a while as a quartermaster, so you can recuperate properly. You know what the logistics is like. Every day you drink milk like water, and the meat is only for us after it's left over. Furthermore, based on your heroic performance this time, the commander has specially approved an increase in your pay grade, allowing you to enjoy the benefits equivalent to that of a deputy company commander. You kid, this time you've turned misfortune into fortune. You've hit the jackpot. Your benefits are almost catching up to mine. Company commander, Zhao Pengfei looked down, touching the merit medal, biting his lip with a complex smile. I accept this second-class merit medal, but I won't accept the rest. What do you mean? Gu Xiong's face stiffened, and his smile vanished. Zhao Pengfei looked up at him seriously and said, Company commander, instructor, you don't have to hide it from me. I've already asked the doctor. A significant loss of blood, combined with low temperature, has resulted in severe damage to my motor nerves. Right now, my hands can't even hold an orange, let alone change channels with a remote. So, I don't want this form of charity. How is this charity? Who told you it was charity? Huh. Gu Xiong immediately became angry. The position of quartermaster is only temporary. You're injured now and need time to recover. Once you're better, can't you rejoin the team? Zhao Pengfei shook his head with a bitter smile. Company commander, I'm not new to the military. Don't try to fool me with these words. The army is a big machine. and it has no reason to stop and wait for anyone, nor will it adapt to you. I don't want to be a quartermaster. And I certainly don't want to be pointed at and have people say, how can a useless person still have the face to stay in the army? Who dares to say that? I'll tear their mouth apart. Gu Zhiyong raised his voice immediately. A nurse entered the room and almost got scolded for making too much noise. Bai Yuan, who was beside him, tried to persuade. Zhao Pengfei, everyone knows you're a hero and that you were injured in combat. People will only admire you. No one will mock you or look down on you. Zhao Pengfei clenched his fists and growled, but I will look down on myself. He suddenly turned red-eyed. Squad leader. After all these years, you should know what kind of person I am. I've lost count of how many sandbags I've broken and how many layers of paper I've torn. After putting in so much effort, what is it all for, if not to challenge myself? In the end, I can't even stay in a combat unit and can only go to logistics to eat and do nothing. What is the point of me being a soldier? You're talking nonsense. Gu Zhiyong exploded in anger, the veins on his forehead throbbing. I'm telling you, Zhao Pengfei, I wouldn't allow you to give up on yourself like this. Where's your pride? Where's your sense of accomplishment? You were the third in the Division S combat competition. You can't get over such a small setback. Look at yourself. Do you even resemble a soldier right now? Gu Zhiyong scolded for a long time, and Bai Yuan also tried to persuade him for a while. But Zhao Pengfei seemed to have lost his soul, not absorbing a single word. For him, even with his past contributions to the unit, he didn't want to be a burden, nor did he want pity from the troops. In fact, Zhao Pengfei had already consulted a doctor in recent days. The response he received was that the chances of a complete recovery were extremely slim. This meant that even if he spent a lot of time on rehabilitation exercises, it might all be in vain. Zhao Pengfei loved the army more than anyone and wanted to stay in this place. But he also understood that the army was a fast-paced environment. With his current condition, staying would only cause trouble for everyone. His pride made it hard for him to remain in the army. Say something. I've said so much, you should at least respond. Gu Zhiyong's throat was nearly burning, but he kept staring at him. If you're not happy with the position, I can think of other ways. You could stay in the Border Defense Regiment as a staff officer. Bai Yuan looked at him in shock. Aren't you just talking nonsense? That position is clearly reserved for Qin Feng by the Chief of Staff. Besides, staff positions are for officers, not for non-commissioned officers. But now, in order to placate Zhao Pengfei, Bai Yuan could only nod along, painting a big picture first. Yes, whether you go back to the Steel Knife Company or stay in the Border Defense Regiment, as long as you have a position you want, just speak up, and we'll find a way for you. You can start working for a while, and once your health improves, getting promoted to a military academy won't be an issue. Seeing the eager concern on their faces, Zhao Pengfei instead revealed a faint smile. Squad leader, instructor, please stop trying to persuade me. After all this time, I've made my decision. I want to be discharged. Damn it. Gu Zhiyong slammed his fist against the foot of the bed, causing the iron railing to buzz. His hand turned red, but he felt no pain at all. Gu Zhiyong turned away, his eyes suddenly misty. He genuinely cared for this soldier and was reluctant to let such a good soldier go. After so much effort and so many years of struggle, just when the dream was about to come true, this mess happened. Gu Zhiyong was truly eager to find those troublesome university students and hang them up one by one, whipping them with a chili pepper-soaked whip. If it weren't for this incident, he wouldn't have encountered armed individuals and wouldn't have been so severely injured. Normally, receiving a second-class merit would be a cause for great joy. But under these circumstances, this honor felt like salt poured into an open wound. I tell you, your demobilization application? I'm not approving it. As long as I don't approve it, you can forget about being a deserter, you can forget about leaving. After saying this, Gu Zhiyong strode out. He simply couldn't stay there any longer. He was afraid his emotions would get out of control. Even more so, he feared he would soften his heart and agree to Zhao Pengfei's ridiculous decision. Because he knew better than anyone how painful and difficult it was for Zhao Pengfei to make that decision. Company commander. Just as Gu Zhiyong reached the door, he was suddenly called back. Zhao Pengfei made a bitter request. Please don't tell Qin Feng about this. I'm afraid he won't be able to accept it. He's a good soldier, but I'm not a good squad leader. Tears streamed down Gu Zhiyong's face. Damn it. If you had said it yourself, I wouldn't have had the time for this. After saying that, he pulled open the door and was about to leave. But as soon as the hospital door opened, he saw Qin Feng standing outside. Beside him was Zhu Huihui, who had a complex expression and was holding a bouquet of flowers. Gu Zhiyong's expression turned frantic, his eyes wide with shock. You. How long have you been standing here? Zhu Huihui sighed. We've been standing here as long as you've been talking. Guess whether the squad leader will retire or stay. Will Qin Feng let him go? Chapter 122. Is Qin Feng still a business genius? Just grab a bite at the hospital entrance. Why did we come so far? We still have to hurry back after we finish eating. With a bang, the car door closed. Zhu Huihui, who got out of the car, was quite puzzled. They had agreed to let Qin Feng and Zhao Pengfei talk privately while they grabbed something to eat. Yet, they had driven for over half an hour to such a distant place. Gu Xiong smiled as he locked the car. This restaurant is run by an old comrade of mine. It just got renovated, so I brought you here to support it. The barbecue restaurant was indeed bustling with business. It was packed inside, and even the small tables outside were full of people. Zhu Huihui looked up at the shop sign and was momentarily stunned. Inspection Barbecue? How about it? Creative, right? What kind of mind could come up with such a novel name? With a sense of curiosity, Zhu Huihui followed Gu Xiong inside. However, the decorations in the store left her feeling even more bewildered. While patriotic-themed artwork was understandable, what did hanging so many photos of inspections mean? Unable to contain her curiosity, Zhu Huihui asked, "Was your friend originally in inspections?" "Oh, pretty smart. I'm not blind." After waiting a while, they finally managed to find a place to sit. Soon after, a waiter thoughtfully brought over complimentary jasmine tea and a fruit platter. The service at this establishment is so attentive. No wonder the business is thriving. As Zhu Huihui enjoyed the fruit, she curiously surveyed her surroundings. Gu Xiong laughed heartily. "You wouldn't believe it, but just over 2 months ago, this place was on the brink of closing down. Thankfully, with the help of Lao Fan, over here. Gu Xiong suddenly stood up and waved vigorously at a man not far away. Shortly after, a man with a darkened face and a broad smile, showcasing 2 rows of white teeth, happily approached wearing an apron. "Lao Gu, why didn't you call me to let me know you were coming? I could have saved you a seat. By the way, where's Qin Feng? I really need to thank him. Thanks to him, my shop is back from the dead. He's my great benefactor. Look at how busy my business is now. I don't even have time to drink water. All my old comrades are here to support me, huh?" Lao Fan complained jokingly, but the smile on his face was wide and genuine. In business, who doesn't he hope for better sales? The busier, the happier. He wished he could be busy every day. After exchanging a few words and greeting Zhu Huihui, Lao Fan hurried off to attend to his tasks. "Boss, I want everything on your menu grilled, everything." All right, I'll get it done right away." "Xiaozhong, bring some more fruit to table 3. These are my comrades." "Boss, before I retired, I used to get into trouble with the inspectors often. So give me 50 skewers of grilled kidneys, and make them look like octopuses." "Sure, no problem. I can make them into flowers if you want." "Xiao Sun, why hasn't the beer for table 10 been served yet? Bring a plate of our special peanuts for the guests to enjoy first." Lao Fan buzzed around like a little top, darting between the front and back of the restaurant. Despite being constantly challenged by customers, he remained tireless and enthusiastic. Watching the bustling scene in the restaurant, Gu Xiong felt happy for him. This old chap probably counts money until his hands cramp, dreaming of success every night. Was this barbecue idea and these photos all Qin Feng's doing? In response to Zhu Huihui's curiosity, Gu Xiong's smile revealed a hint of pride. "Yes, I brought him here once before when the shop was struggling, and he suggested a few ideas. I never expected that just 2 months later, it would really come back to life, and so successfully." Qin Feng's approach truly resonates with many retired soldiers who want to pay their respects to the inspectors. Being able to spend money and act like a big shot in front of them, while having them grill skewers for you. Anyone would want to try it. Even someone like me who hasn't faced any inspections. Plus, Lao Fan's skills are indeed impressive. At first, people might come for the name, but soon they return for the taste, the service, and the reasonable prices. Zhu Huihui listened in astonishment, her perception of Qin Feng once again refreshed. Soon, a grilled fish and 30 lamb skewers they ordered were served. Zhu Huihui was already a bit hungry, and with the delicious flavors, she couldn't stop eating. Gu Xiong was still preoccupied with thoughts of Zhao Pengfei, so he was somewhat absent-minded during dinner. "Hey, what are you thinking about? Still on that soldieress matter?" Gu Xiong put down his chopsticks and sighed helplessly. "I'm wondering if Qin Feng will persuade him to stay." "I don't think so." Hearing Zhu Huihui's response, Gu Xiong was quite surprised. "Why do you say that? Do you understand him better than I do as his company commander?" The latter part of his thought was a silent complaint. Zhu Huihui took a sip of cola and replied, "Because I believe Qin Feng will respect his squad leader's choice. Zhao Pengfei is a good soldier, but it's obvious that he has a strong sense of pride. Someone with such a strong character doesn't like to trouble others, and is even less willing to be a burden, which is why he refuses the kindness from the army and chooses to retire. That's his own decision. But no one thinks he is a burden, right?" Seeing Gu Xiong's anxious expression, Zhu Huihui put down her cola bottle and said seriously, "In terms of emotions, we women often see things more clearly and think more intricately than you men. If Zhao Pengfei really stays, it's not just about him overcoming his own obstacles. It's also unfair to other soldiers who retired due to injuries. The army cannot accommodate everyone. If someone can't keep up, they will be eliminated. Moreover, now that you all have become an independent unit, every member has to be the best of the best, leaving even less room for him. As for going to logistics as a supply officer, that is actually a kind of indirect insult for combat personnel. It's like being perfectly fine in the office one day, and suddenly being assigned to feed pigs by higher-ups." After listening to Zhu Huihui's analysis, Gu Xiong's expression darkened further. Zhao Pengfei was his soldier, and he naturally understood this guy's stubborn nature. He was truly a tough man who would never fall behind, no matter the circumstances. Yet, Gu Xiong still held a glimmer of hope in his heart. He hoped Zhao Pengfei could consider his life situation and choose to stay, because returning to society with all those injuries would make his path even harder. The army could at least provide him with a temporary shelter based on his multiple accomplishments. Moreover, the position of supply officer itself was a comfortable job. But this kid was just too stubborn and too strong-willed. He felt that staying would hold everyone back, and he believed it would tarnish the honor and reputation of the Steel Knife Company. Zhao Pengfei had suffered so much. He had endured for so long. And now he was so close to making it, able to enter a military academy for further studies, only to end up like this. Gu Xiong was truly unwilling to accept it, knowing that Zhao Pengfei felt even more so. Life is unpredictable, so don't be too upset, Zhu Huihui comforted. Perhaps after leaving the army, he might actually live more easily, and even better. Just like the owner of this shop, who went from struggling to thriving again. Gu Xiong remained silent, as he did not agree with Zhu Huihui's viewpoint. Choosing to retire voluntarily and being forced to leave were entirely different matters. For someone who had worked hard for a decade and was on the verge of promotion, suddenly being cast into the depths was a bitter pill to swallow. The feeling of despair and hopelessness is something only the person involved truly understands. If it weren't for being pushed to the brink of despair, Zhao Pengfei would never have said such things, because he loves the military and this place more than anyone else. Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. Zhu Huihui noticed he seemed troubled, so she proactively changed the topic. She fixed her gaze on Gu Xiong's eyes and smiled as she asked, "What do you think of me?" Chapter 123. I care about you, and you actually covet my soldiers? Gu Xiong was momentarily taken aback and didn't know how to respond. Zhu Huihui rested her chin on her hand, blinking her eyes at him. I mean, what do you think of me as a person? We've been classmates for so many years, and I'd like to hear your opinion of me. Gu Xiong's heart raced, and his face flushed as he stammered. I think you're quite good. You're beautiful, understanding, very outstanding, and you can even tear a basin apart. Zhu Huihui burst into laughter. What on earth is tearing a basin apart? How is that a compliment for a girl? Gu Xiong scratched his head with a silly smile, feeling a bit tongue-tied. He actually wanted to say that she was the light of his heart, something he could never forget. But Qin Feng had warned him before that those 3 words should only stay in his heart and must never be spoken out loud. If he said it, he would immediately lose the initiative in choosing a partner, and everything he had done before would be in vain. Zhu Huihui, breaking away from her usual composed demeanor, tilted her head and smiled at him. I've noticed, you're still the same as back in school, looking a bit silly. Thump, 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 thump. Gu Xiong's throat bobbed as if struck by Cupid's arrow. His heart raced like a 12-cylinder engine, almost leaping out of his chest. This was too much. What should I say? What should I do? Help me, strategist. Suddenly, he remembered Qin Feng's previous advice. If he didn't know what to say, he should try to appear calm and smile politely. As long as he didn't say anything wrong, he would still hold the initiative. He then pretended to be calm, picked up his cup, and took a sip of water, mentally replaying the most unhappy moments of his life to suppress his excitement and impulse. Seeing that Gu Xiong showed no surprise or joy and didn't react much, Zhu Huihui felt a bit frustrated. This guy is really dense. I've hinted at him like this, and he still doesn't react? Zhu Huihui could only muster the courage to continue probing. She asked him why he still wasn't dating, whether his standards were too high, and so on. In response to these questions, Gu Xiong was quite articulate, sticking to the usual excuses he used with his family. He mentioned being too busy with work and wanting to focus on his career, and so on. While he answered, it was all ineffective, lacking any substance. Zhu Huihui felt that continuing this way wouldn't lead to any results, so she decided to get straight to the point. She closed her legs, sat up a bit straighter, and hesitantly began to speak. Actually, my family is urging me as well, saying that I'm still single at my age and I'm almost becoming an old maid. They said that if a few more years pass and I grow old and unattractive, I probably won't find anyone. How could that be? Gu Xiong immediately rebutted excitedly. With your looks, your knowledge, and your ability to break bricks, 3 at a time, how could no one want you? Zhu Huihui's eyes twitched twice. She really wanted to give him 2 big slaps. If you can't compliment someone properly, then don't force it. Ripping a basin and breaking bricks, can that be mentioned? If that gets out, it will be even harder for me to find a partner. She hesitated, bit her lip, and forced a smile as she said to Gu Xiong. Gu Xiong, if, and I mean if, we both end up not finding anyone, how about we consider teaming up? Huh. Gu Xiong's cup was shaking wildly in his hand, as if it were dancing. The soda inside splashed into his nose, and he didn't even notice. Clearly, this surprise had come too suddenly, leaving him dazed. Is she pursuing me? Is she expressing her feelings for me? Gu Xiong even thought about howling like a wolf and then jumping on the table to dance like Michael Jackson. He wouldn't have dared to think such things even in his dreams. The strategist is amazing. I want to bow to you. Since you didn't refuse, I'll take it as your consent. Oh, okay, fine. Seeing Gu Xiong's face turning red and fidgeting like a shy girl, Zhu Huihui showed a sly smile. Anyway, let us paint the big picture first. She didn't say that they would be dating right now, so it doesn't violate any principles. They could take their time getting to know each other, and if they ended up together, that would be fate. If they didn't end up together, it just means they weren't meant to be. This way, at least she wouldn't feel any psychological burden. However, before that, I need you to agree to one condition. Not just one, I'll agree to 10. Zhu Huihui was taken aback. She didn't expect such a strong reaction from Gu Xiong. She quickly waved her hand and smiled awkwardly. No need for that many. One is enough. You say it. Say it. I can reach for the moon or catch turtles in the river. No problem. Ha ha ha. It's not that exaggerated. Just, can you let Qin Feng go for me? Wait, what? I'm shattered. It felt like something had shattered all over the place. It turned out to be Gu Xiong's broken heart. He pressed his lips tightly, but the corners of his mouth trembled as if he had been forced to wear a mask of pain. Qin Feng, you deceitful strategist. You said there was nothing between you two, but you've practically stolen my home. Gu Xiong suppressed his inner sadness, trying his best to remain polite, and managed to force out a smile that looked worse than crying. You like Qin Feng? What? Zhu Huihui's eyes widened, and she was stunned. No, Gu Xiong. Where are you going with this? How could I like him? He is almost 10 years younger than me. Not even an old cow would eat tender grass like that. What kind of logic is that? Hearing this, Gu Xiong immediately turned from sadness to joy. It was as if his expression changed in an instant, and he began to rub his hands with a grin. You startled me. When you said you wanted him, I thought you had feelings for him. Let me tell you, this guy was quite the romantic before joining the military. Don't be fooled by his innocent and handsome appearance. He has been through many romantic encounters without getting attached. On his first day in the army, he was already chasing after someone, and it turned out to be a whole group of people. Stop, stop. Zhu Huihui raised her hand to interrupt, clearly annoyed. You're going too far, and I'm not interested in this gossip. I should have clarified earlier. It's not that I want him, but our squad leader does. Yuan Feng. Gu Xiong was taken aback, his mind not fully processing the information. Your squad leader likes younger ones? Wait a minute. Isn't your squad leader a man? Suddenly, his expression changed, and he looked at Zhu Huihui with a serious face. Zhu Huihui, I warn you, Qin Feng's orientation is perfectly normal. He is not into that. Come on. Zhu Huihui was incredibly frustrated. She felt like flipping a table and shouting. She wished she could just open Gu Xiong's head and see what was inside. If Yuan Feng heard this, he would probably tie Gu Xiong up and use him for target practice for half an hour. Zhu Huihui took a deep breath and reorganized her words. What I meant to say is, our squad leader has taken a liking to Qin Feng and wants him to join the team. As soon as she finished speaking, Gu Xiong jumped up, his eyes wide open like saucers, filled with sharp intelligence. In an instant, he understood why Zhu Huihui had been frequently visiting the hospital and always appeared next to Qin Feng. She was carrying out orders from above to go undercover. Zhu Huihui, I was just concerned about you, but you're actually eyeing my soldier? How low can you go? And you're even using seduction tactics. What officer can withstand such a test? At that moment, Gu Xiong's gaze turned unexpectedly cold. I'm sorry, but I want to let this soldier go. Even if the king himself came, it wouldn't work. Chapter 124, Squad Leader, I choose to respect your decision. Gu Xiong, I know you're excited, but calm down. Zhu Huihui, after a brief moment of surprise, quickly pulled him back. With so many people around, it was indeed a bit awkward to suddenly stand up and raise his voice. Seeing everyone looking at him, Gu Xiong seemed to realize he had lost his composure and quickly sat back down. He huffed, his earlier smile gone, and his eyes were filled with wariness. No matter how grand Zhu Huihui's words were, his response was always the same. No way. As a soldier, he had never truly been convinced by anyone. He had never felt inferior, nor did he think his team was any less than others. Moreover, Gu Xiong had a keen eye for people. After nearly 3 months of interaction, he found that Qin Feng's talents in command and strategy far surpassed his military skills. Taking the matter of dating as an example, Qin Feng casually provided a few pointers, which resolved his long-standing emotional issues. In fact, it even led Zhu Huihui to confess her feelings for him. Although there was a certain intention behind it, that is not the main point. The key is that without Qin Feng's advice, Gu Xiong would never have reached this stage in his life. Moreover, the booming business of the barbecue restaurant is a great example of this. Qin Feng possesses the practical combat skills of a special forces soldier and could charge to the front lines with a weapon. However, joining the special forces would not only hinder his potential, but also restrict his development. Special forces soldiers act without thinking. They will always remain just that. If Qin Feng joins, he would work hard to the point of exhaustion, at best becoming a squad leader. Advancing further would be extremely difficult, with a high risk of danger on missions. The trend of future warfare is collaborative operations, integrated combat, information technology, and high-tech competitions. Special forces are just a small aspect of this. Qin Feng's intellect is sufficient to support his broader vision. As long as he returns from military school, trains troops for a few years, and with his first and second-class merits, he is guaranteed to rise quickly in the military. Of course, the premise is that Qin Feng must continue to develop as he has been and continuously absorb various experiences to achieve merit. If he is willing to push forward, Gu Xiong can hardly imagine how high this guy could climb in the future. Goodness, if he becomes a division commander or something similar, wouldn't he have enough achievements to boast about for a lifetime? Of course, this is a bit far-fetched. Putting the future aside, let us focus on the present. Right now, Gu Xiong has already lost his general, Zhao Pengfei. He is already feeling quite distressed, and certainly wouldn't he want to give Qin Feng to anyone else. Unless ordered by the command center, he would never let go, no matter what. At the dinner table, the two argued back and forth for a long time. Each had their reasons, and neither could convince the other. In the end, they parted ways unhappily. However, since they arrived in the same car, they had to ride back together. On the way back, neither of them spoke a word, making it feel like a couple in a silent standoff after a fight. Yet, Zhu Huihui in the passenger seat occasionally stole glances at him. Although she was clearly upset, she couldn't help but think that Gu Xiong at the dinner table was quite masculine. Perhaps it's true what they say. A man with opinions who doesn't compromise easily is the most attractive. In the hospital ward, Qin Feng was watching TV with Zhao Pengfei. He was eating oranges and occasionally fed one to Zhao Pengfei. This scene was surprisingly harmonious, even heartwarming. SpongeBob, let us go catch jellyfish. The TV was playing the animated series SpongeBob SquarePants. Although Qin Feng had lived 2 lives, he was still completely captivated by this animation. The friendship between SpongeBob and Patrick, 2 happy-go-lucky characters, indeed made many people envious. 2 people, one lying on the bed and the other sitting on a stool, had not spoken a word for a full half-hour. Finally, during an advertisement break, Zhao Pengfei couldn't hold it in any longer and took the initiative to speak. Qin Feng, do you think the squad leader is someone who avoids problems, a coward? I never thought that way, not before and definitely not now, Qin Feng replied, warming Zhao Pengfei's heart a bit. Actually, when you first joined the army, I didn't have a good impression of you. It was because of those phone calls, right? Yes. At that time, I thought you were quite frivolous, like a playboy, Qin Feng chuckled. Zhao Pengfei smiled and said, but as I got to know you better, my opinion gradually changed, and I discovered many of your strengths. Qin Feng, even though you are just a rookie, you are more outstanding than most veterans I have seen. Sometimes, standing in front of you makes me feel inferior. The only things I have more than you are a bit of strength and some military skills. But I know that in no more than 3 or 4 years, you will definitely surpass me in every aspect. Qin Feng scratched his head awkwardly. Squad leader, please stop flattering me. It's making me a bit embarrassed. Zhao Pengfei laughed heartily. I'm not buttering you up, it's the truth. At least, when I was a rookie, I wasn't as seasoned as you. With just a knife and a water bottle filled with stones, you managed to get 3 kills. Qin Feng didn't argue. Even when he recalled that battle, it felt surreal, almost like a dream. He didn't even know how he had the courage to confront others with just a water bottle against their guns. Perhaps it was the confidence given by the system, or maybe it was the courage boost from wearing the uniform. However, after experiencing this life and death crisis, Qin Feng felt that his mindset and perspective had elevated to a new level. No matter what difficulties or dangers he faced in the future, he could calmly smile and face them. Qin Feng, as your guide, I am already very content to have such an excellent soldier like you. Next week, you will be promoted. Once you wear the shoulder insignia and arm badge, you will be a true soldier. After joining the unit, no matter where you go, you must perform well, strive to be the best, and seize every opportunity. Zhao Pengfei wiped his eyes and forced a bitter smile. Qin Feng, you must work hard. Your military career is just beginning. As for me, I might have to take my bow early. Qin Feng remained silent, quietly handing him a tissue. Having known Zhao Pengfei for so long, he understood that this tough man had a soft and delicate heart. Not every veteran squad leader in the army was as dedicated as Zhao Pengfei. Some leaders treated their new recruits merely as a task to fulfill. For example, the 2nd squad leader often made the new recruits wash clothes and socks in the name of training. The 6th squad leader, Zhou Shangfei, would frequently punish recruits who made mistakes with various extra drills, causing discontent among them. The reason why the new recruit named Li Xiangkong took extreme measures after a breakup is somewhat related to how Zhou Shangfei handles matters. Squad Leader 9 has a habit of finding ways to take advantage of new recruits in the squad, often seeking free food and drinks. Although it's not worth much, he is frequently criticized by his own squad members for being unethical. The military is like a small society. Even in uniform, not everyone is perfect. Some individuals, while flaunting their military image, deceive others for money and relationships. There are those who, just before their discharge, borrow money from others without intending to pay it back, displaying extremely poor character. Therefore, encountering someone like Zhao Pengfei, who is responsible and of good character, is a stroke of luck for Qin Feng and all the new recruits in Squad 4. A significant part of Qin Feng's growth and achievements is due to Zhao Pengfei's exemplary behavior and teachings. Moreover, Zhao Pengfei even took a fatal bullet for him on the battlefield. In other words, Zhao Pengfei's current state is largely due to Qin Feng's influence. Thus, both emotionally and logically, Qin Feng does not wish for him to leave, as he understands Zhao Pengfei's desire to stay. Squad leader, if you want to persuade me to stay, just forget it, Zhao Pengfei said seriously, raising his hand to stop him. I've thought about this for a long time. I don't want to cause trouble for the military, nor do I want to tarnish the reputation of the Steel Knife Company. Don't worry. Even if I go home after my discharge, I can support myself. Seeing his firm attitude, Qin Feng could only sigh helplessly. Understood, squad leader. I respect your choice and won't persuade or stop you. But before that, you must agree to one condition. Chapter 125, full of fighting spirit. Humans can overcome nature cooling off period? Yes, a cooling off period. What does that mean specifically? I don't quite understand. Looking at Zhao Pengfei's confused face, Qin Feng explained earnestly. Squad leader, I know deep down you don't want to leave the military. You want to continue shining and contributing here. Zhao Pengfei remained silent, because what Qin Feng said was true. He had dedicated his best youth to the military, and everything he learned and experienced was from there. For him, the best path was to stay in the military and continue to develop. Although he had received a second-class merit and would be prioritized for a good job upon returning home, he felt that life would not be the same without the military. But you also know that my current physical condition is not suitable for continuing in the military, Zhao Pengfei said. So, I never said I wouldn't let you go. Qin Feng's words seemed to interrupt him like a spell, leaving Zhao Pengfei somewhat bewildered. Are you trying to persuade me or support me? This is a bit confusing. Qin Feng looked at him and said, Squad leader, I've consulted with a doctor. And while sports nerve injuries are indeed tricky, they're not completely irreparable. The doctor indicated that as long as you actively cooperate with treatment and rehabilitation training, there is still a chance for recovery. If, he said seriously. If you submit your discharge application and find that your body naturally recovers within just a couple of months after going back, you will definitely regret it. Taking off the uniform is easy, but putting it back on is not so simple. Qin Feng's words left Zhao Pengfei in silence. He hadn't considered this point before. Although his injury seemed serious, it hadn't affected his bones or ligaments, so there was no need for steel plates. As for nerves, no one can say for certain. It might never heal completely, but with proper rehabilitation, it could gradually improve. It was like a lottery, no one knew if they'd win. Zhao Pengfei hesitated and looked at Qin Feng. So what do you mean? Qin Feng looked at him earnestly. What I mean is, you can leave. But at least don't leave any regrets. 6 months, just 6 months. If you can't recover, if you really can't adapt to the pace of the military, or if you feel like you've brought shame to the unit, then applying for discharge later won't be too late. By then, you won't have any regrets in your heart. And neither will I, the company commander, or your comrades in the 6th Company. Zhao Pengfei remained silent, but internally, he was struggling. For someone who loved the military wholeheartedly, the uniform felt like a part of him. The discipline of a soldier and the red faith had already seeped into his blood. Taking off this uniform felt like peeling off his skin. How many decades does one have in life? When you've spent a whole decade bleeding, crying, and striving for a single goal, only to end up with nothing, what kind of feeling would that be? Qin Feng, you make a lot of sense. And I know you mean well, Zhao Pengfei said with a bitter smile, shaking his head. But I just can't get past this hurdle in my heart. Some things, when they're to be cut off, should be cut off decisively. The longer I hold on, the harder it will be to let go. The greater the hope. The greater the disappointment. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. Qin Feng opened his mouth to take a breath, trying to appear as relaxed as possible. But it felt like something was choking his throat, making it hard to breathe. He stood up, said to rest well, and then turned to leave. In the corridor, Qin Feng maintained a neutral expression, even greeting the attending physician treating the squad leader. But the moment the elevator doors began to close, he could no longer control his emotions. He almost crumpled in the cabin, gripping the handrail to keep himself standing. Previously, he had only seen soldiers parting on television. Now, Qin Feng finally understood what that feeling was like. He also understood why in Soldier Assault, Wu Lui chose to apply for discharge after getting injured, and why the Steel Tiger commander of the 7th Company, Gao Cheng, cried so painfully. Because what you lose is not just a comrade who shared meals and endured hardships together. He is a good brother with whom one can entrust their back, sharing a deep bond. When together, they are like a raging fire. When apart, like stars scattered across the sky. The homeland is vast, and soldiers are always busy. Now that Zhao Pengfei has left, it's uncertain when they will meet again. In a previous life, he often saw the phrase "I miss my old squad leader" under many military bloggers' accounts. At that time, he thought it was just a joke. But now he realizes it's not a joke, but a genuine expression of feelings. Some veterans, after many years, when asked if they would return to the army if given the chance, would say, "No, it was too tough. Just reminiscing is enough." However, if you tell them that their former squad leader often mentions them, saying they were the best soldier they ever had, and that they have always been proud of them, most veterans would be deeply moved. In the hospital room, it was quiet and cold, with the scent of orange peels lingering in the air. Zhao Pengfei sat on the hospital bed, lost in thought, his mind blank. He picked up the remote control aimlessly, changing channels several times. He didn't even notice that his finger movements were much more agile this time than before. Although he still trembled, at least he didn't accidentally press the volume button. "You're about to return to your place, no longer in uniform. So if you have any requests, speak up." He often joked about how they defended the capital without ever seeing what it looked like, mentioning places like the Forbidden City and Wangfujing, laughing heartily. A certain TV station was replaying the drama Soldier Assault. This episode happened to feature the segment where squad leader Shi Jin retired. As a pinnacle military drama in the hearts of countless viewers, he had watched it many times. It would often be aired during holidays and Friday night outdoor movie screenings. Seeing this segment again stirred Zhao Pengfei's emotions, his nose tinged with bitterness and his heart filled with mixed feelings. As a poignant piece of music played, the car drove down Chang'an Avenue. Inside the car, Shi Jin was biting on a milk candy given by his company commander. His mouth was sweet, but his heart felt bitter. He tried to hold back, forcing a smile, but ultimately ended up crying in Gao Cheng's embrace. Watching this scene made Zhao Pengfei's heart ache intensely. He turned his back to the door, curling up like a lone wolf, silently licking his wounds. His tears soaked the pillow, and he noticed the neatly arranged and washed camouflage uniform beside him. Zhao Pengfei reached out to gently touch it. All the damaged areas had been stitched up. Each stitch was a badge of honor. Suddenly, a small object rolled out of the pocket of the uniform. It was a lighter that Qin Feng had given him. Though it seemed intact, after a storm, he wondered if it would still work. Zhao Pengfei tried to ignite it 7 or 8 times, but it wouldn't light. Just when he bitterly thought that this lighter, like himself, had become useless, a faint flame unexpectedly flickered to life. This flame was like a glimmer of hope in Zhao Pengfei's life, reflecting in his misty eyes and growing brighter. "Did you manage to persuade him? Did the squad leader agree to stay?" Downstairs, Gu Jiong hurriedly rushed to Qin Feng, grabbing his shoulders with both hands, anxiously asking about the situation. With a heavy heart, Qin Feng shook his head. "I tried, but the squad leader insists on leaving. That stubborn guy. Why does he have to be so stubborn? No way. I have to go up and slap some sense into him." Gu Jiong angrily wanted to go, but was held back by Qin Feng. "Forget it, squad leader. It won't help if you go. If he wants to leave, no one can stop him. Unless he realizes on his own that he wants to stay. Let us go back for now, and let him have some quiet time to rest." Gu Jiong looked up at the hospital room on the 6th floor, his fists clenched tightly. But in the end, he listened to Qin Feng's advice and turned to walk towards the car. Qin Feng didn't say anything more and followed him into the vehicle. The car started and slowly drove out of the hospital gate. Meanwhile, by the window on the 6th floor, a figure silently watched them leave until they were no longer visible, reluctantly pulling back their gaze. Zhao Pengfei spread his hands, looking at the 4 bold characters on the lighter that read determination and courage. The wall in his heart seemed to loosen a bit. He then flipped the lighter over. The back also had 4 characters. "Man will triumph over nature." Zhao Pengfei gripped the lighter tightly with his trembling right hand, and at that moment, his gaze became increasingly resolute. Chapter 126. Collective Commendation. All new recruits envy new recruit Qin Feng. Present. After discussions at a higher level, it was decided to award you a second-class merit medal. The training room of the new recruit company was filled with people. Brigade Commander Chiu Guohai was presenting Qin Feng with the second-class merit medal, pinning it on his chest and saluting him. "Comrade Qin Feng, I hope you will continue to work hard and contribute more to the army, to the country, and to the people. Thank you for the recognition from the higher-ups. I will definitely keep working hard." Qin Feng's right arm was bandaged and he couldn't lift it, so he raised his left hand and saluted Brigade Commander Chiu. Chiu Guohai smiled and nodded at him, then encouraged him with a pat on the back before turning his attention to the right side. New recruit Li Jiaxing. Present. Li Jiaxing shouted as he stepped forward, his head held high like a proud rooster. Chiu Guohai took out a 3rd-class merit medal and pinned it on his chest, saying, "After discussions at a higher level, it has been decided to award you a 3rd-class merit medal." "Thank you, Commander." Li Jiaxing shouted so loudly that his voice cracked. Even when Chiu Guohai was pinning the medal on him, he could feel his body trembling. This was the first honor he had received since joining the army, and it was normal to be excited, especially since Li Jiaxing was still a new recruit. After saying a few words of encouragement, Chiu Guohai turned his gaze to Qi Ming beside him. From left to right, all new recruits in the 4th squad received honors. Qin Feng contributed the most. so he received a second-class merit. Li Jiaxing, Qi Meng, and Chun Sanqi all received third-class medals, while the rest received certificates of commendation. The new recruits from Class 4, shining brightly on stage, evoked a sense of envy among the other recruits sitting below. Even the veteran squad leaders couldn't help but express their amazement internally. It was unprecedented for an entire class to achieve commendations during their training period. However, everyone knew from their recent rescue operation how challenging it was to escape from danger in such harsh conditions, especially Qin Feng's second-class merit, which was earned at the cost of his life. 6 armed militants, including a well-trained mercenary, were involved, and they had support. Even the veterans wouldn't have confidence in escaping unscathed without weapons, let alone taking down 2 or 3 enemies. At this moment, no one saw Qin Feng as just a rookie anymore. His outstanding performance even surpassed that of most veterans in the unit. A dragon changes upon encountering wind and clouds. A single firefighting experience and a real combat situation were enough to showcase his potential and skill. Almost all veterans recognized that this young man had an unlimited future ahead of him. The sound of applause echoed in the classroom. Due to confidentiality considerations, this commendation ceremony was not as grand as the last one and was not held in the regiment's auditorium. Instead, it took place in the small classroom of the recruit company. Nevertheless, the feeling of being recognized in front of the whole company still thrilled the new recruits of Class 4. At this moment, Li Jiaxing's face was beaming with joy. If it weren't for the presence of the regimental commander and the company commander, he would have wanted to wave and blow kisses to the audience below. At that moment, he realized how much he loved this place, further solidifying his determination to develop well in the military. From now on, Qin Feng would be his guiding star and goal. At the same time, Qi Meng's face was also filled with pride. This honor made him prouder than any award he had received in martial arts competitions. The third-class merit was an acknowledgement from the country and the military, and it was his first medal since joining, making it exceptionally meaningful. Chun Sanqi grinned widely, looking like a shoe that had exploded at the seams. When he got the chance to call home, he would definitely share this good news with his parents. Bathed in the applause of everyone, the new recruits of Class 4 began to create their own little dramas in their minds. Yet, Qin Feng appeared particularly calm, not overly surprised. On one hand, he had experienced such scenes before, even more grand ones. On the other hand, he felt a sense of regret. It would have been better if the squad leader could have stood at the forefront, receiving the award together with everyone. Zhao Pengfei always emphasized that Class 4 was a whole. Now that one was missing, Qin Feng felt a void in his heart. Even with the second-class merit, he couldn't fully enjoy the happiness. This reminded him of a saying from teacher Luo Xiang. Do you simply love traveling? Or do you love the person who travels with you? If your partner is unhappy, no matter how beautiful the scenery is, you won't have the interest to appreciate it. If your partner is feeling down, even the most delicious food will taste like wax in your mouth. After the commendation ceremony, the officer spoke some encouraging words to everyone. The gist was that the unit would not overlook any soldier who made contributions. As long as you actively perform, bravely face challenges, and can rise to the occasion when problems arise, you can also earn the honor and recognition of the unit like them. I must say, the officer's eloquence is indeed impressive. With just a few simple sentences, he managed to uplift everyone's spirits. Soon, the commander announced the dismissal, and the classes began to leave in an orderly manner. With Zhao Pengfei absent, the responsibility of leading the group fell on Qin Feng's shoulders. Just as Qin Feng was about to take the new recruits of Class 4 out of the study room, he was called back by Commander Qiu Guohai. Qin Feng, stay a moment. The others can go back first, Qiu said. Li Jiaxing and the others glanced at Qin Feng and then said, Class Vice, we'll wait for you in the dorm. Go ahead, Qin Feng replied, letting them leave while he stayed behind. Although he was alone, Gu Xiong also remained with him, mainly out of concern that Qiu Guohai might try to pull something behind the scenes and brainwash Qin Feng. Gu Xiong, I asked Qin Feng to stay. What are you doing here? Qiu Guohai frowned slightly, looking at Gu with some displeasure. Gu Xiong chuckled, Commander, if you want to talk, just talk to me directly. Qin Feng's injury isn't fully healed yet. I'm afraid he might not speak clearly. Qiu Guohai's eyelids twitched. What does his injury have to do with speaking? You're acting like I'm a thief trying to run off with him, he said. Meanwhile, Ji Mingyuan smiled and said, Gu Xiong, the commander and I have some private matters to discuss with Qin Feng. The content is classified, so it must remain confidential. You might as well wait outside. We'll be done shortly. Gu Xiong silently cursed Ji Mingyuan for using the confidentiality excuse to shoo him away. If this matter escalated, staying would not just be disobedience. He could be suspected of eavesdropping and stealing secrets. Fine, I'll wait outside, Gu Xiong said, giving Qin Feng a reassuring look, signaling him not to worry, as he would be there. He then went to the door of the study room and closed it. However, even then, his ear was pressed against the door, trying to catch what was being said inside. Unfortunately, the door had been specially treated, so even with his ear pressed against it, he couldn't hear anything. At this moment, only Qin Feng, Xiao Guohai, and Ji Mingyuan were left in the room. Ji Mingyuan casually grabbed a chair and handed it to Qin Feng. Come, let us sit and talk. Thank you, officer, Qin Feng replied. With both the commander and the officer seated, Qin Feng felt free to relax as well. What he didn't expect was that the content of the conversation that followed from Commander Chiu would drop his jaw in shock. Chapter 127. Qin Feng couldn't resist the temptation. They all came for me. The police have already launched a surprise interrogation of the armed individuals from before. But after so many days, the information obtained has been very limited. However, we believe that these people risked crossing the border for reasons beyond mere drug trafficking. Listening to Xiao Guohai's account, Qin Feng furrowed his brows slightly. He also had many questions about this matter. The country is a forbidden area for mercenaries. This statement has never been a joke. This can be seen from the recent operations. To deal with just a dozen armed individuals, we deployed not only armed police and special police, but even special forces and armed helicopters. When they encountered the enemy, it was immediate rocket fire. Then came the heavy firepower suppression from the armed helicopters, leaving the opposition no chance to breathe. From this point, it is not difficult to see our determination to eliminate the invading enemy. To exaggerate a bit, if it weren't for the nearby rogue elements, it wouldn't be surprising to level the hillside with mortars and howitzers. Therefore, if they were simply seeking profit and wanted to cross the border to do some business, they should have been sneaky and quiet. From this, Qin Feng could judge that these individuals were definitely not ordinary drug dealers. Either they had other ulterior motives, or they were just plain foolish with low intelligence. But what Qin Feng didn't understand was why the commander kept him around to discuss this. After all, he was just a rookie, and this clearly belonged to confidential matters. Commander, I'm just a new recruit. Is it appropriate for you to share this with me? Don't worry, we're getting to the point. Xiao Guohai waved his hand and continued. At the scene, 3 individuals were captured, 2 of whom were mercenaries with very limited information. The remaining individual, the one you shot and who was thin and dark, has an impressive identity. This person is named Shaka, the second son of the second largest flower trading group in the region. Qin Feng was slightly taken aback. He didn't expect that individual to be such a big shot. The region has become synonymous with chaos, with various crimes and flower trading mixed together. To rank second in the local flower trade, their strength is evident. But Qin Feng was puzzled about why this flower heir would come to their territory. Their crackdown on such activities is world-renowned. Exceeding 50 grams means immediate consequences. Was Shaka perhaps not welcomed at home and came out to take on side jobs to earn some pocket money? From now on, I'll refer to that flower group as the Shagong, Xiao Guohai said solemnly. In the earlier years, when the country's economic level was relatively backward, this Shagong had occupied the border area and continuously supplied a large amount of illicit substances into our country through various networks, harming countless families. Every year, many narcotics officers fall on the front lines. About 6 or 7 years ago, after our strength improved, we focused our efforts on a thorough cleanup of this group, which allowed us to eliminate this malignant tumor. However, we ultimately let a portion of them escape, and those who fled took advantage of the chaos in the area to quickly regain power in just a few years. Although they no longer dare to act openly, they still secretly supply us with substances. Therefore, the official beside us, Ji Mingyuan, took the opportunity to say, "So, this individual is a very good breakthrough point. As long as we can pry open his mouth, we can not only minimize the sacrifice of many drug enforcement officers, but also spare many families from harm." Qin Feng listened quietly and did not speak, as the two had yet to get to the main topic after a long discussion. Ji Mingyuan continued. However, this individual is very cunning and has received some resistance training during interrogations. Therefore, despite the police's efforts over the past few days, there has been no substantial progress. Until Xiao Guohai redirected the conversation by pointing at Qin Feng. Until your appearance. Me? Qin Feng was a bit confused and did not understand their meaning. Xiao Guohai chuckled and said, strangely enough, no matter how the police interrogated him, he always acted like a dead pig not afraid of boiling water. He even shouted that if they had the guts, they could kill him. He wouldn't say anything anyway. But when the interrogators briefly mentioned you while reviewing the case, his emotions began to fluctuate. Moreover, he angrily shouted that if he could get out alive, the first thing he would do is dismember you and then feed you to the dogs. Qin Feng couldn't help but feel amused and exasperated. How many days have passed? And the effect of hatred still lingers? So, what do you need me to do now? Very simple. Xiao Guohai smiled. You don't need to do anything but appear in front of that guy. That's not entirely accurate. Ji Mingyuan added. You need to try to provoke him, creating an opportunity for the interrogators to make a breakthrough. If you can find out his purpose for coming here and the drug trafficking routes, that would be a significant contribution. Qin Feng did not speak, but was contemplating the feasibility. The individual named Shaka clearly has a severe superiority complex. Of course, not everything can provoke him. It must be specific people and events. Seeing that Qin Feng remained silent, Qiu Guohai and Ji Mingyuan exchanged glances, thinking he might be afraid to go. So, Ji Mingyuan encouraged him. Qin Feng, you shouldn't have any psychological burden. That guy is currently detained in jail, handcuffed and shackled, and surrounded by heavily armed officers. So he poses no threat to you. Moreover, all you need to do is show up at the scene and cooperate with the police interrogators to complete the interrogation work. It shouldn't be a big problem for you. Team leader, official. Qin Feng raised his head seriously. If I successfully complete the task for the border defense team, can you fulfill one of my requests? Qiu Guohai and Ji Mingyuan were taken aback, as no one expected Qin Feng to make a request at this moment. Well, how about we discuss it later? No problem. Without waiting for the Tai Chi move from Ji Mingyuan, Qiu Guohai, who was rather impulsive, immediately agreed. The reason was simple. This operation involved a joint effort between the police and the military. If successful, it would be another impressive achievement for him as a team leader. With such accomplishments, moving up the ranks would not be out of the question. Moreover, this matter was not within Qin Feng's direct responsibilities. He was merely helping out. Therefore, it was only right to offer some benefits. What kind of reward do you want? I'm not sure yet, team leader. Once I figure it out. You won't go back on your word, right? How could I? As a respectable colonel and team leader, I wouldn't deceive you. A rookie. A gentleman's word is his bond. Qiu Guohai added. But it has to be within my capabilities. If you expect me to fetch the stars or the moon, that's beyond my reach. Qiu Guohai thought he was quite humorous. Qin Feng also cooperatively displayed a smile that suggested, the team leader is so funny. Then he quietly took his hand out of his pocket and changed the subject. Team leader, when are we going? I have live grenade throwing training this afternoon, and I need to get back afterward. Hearing this, both Qiu Guohai and Ji Mingyuan couldn't help but feel a mix of amusement and disbelief. This kid was so capable that they had forgotten he was still a rookie. After earning first and second class merits, he was still thinking about grenade throwing training? They didn't know what to say. Let us go now. They called this morning to urge us, so I'll drive you over right now. Great. Qiu Guohai walked over and opened the door to the study room, only to see a shadowy figure standing at the entrance, looking like a giant turtle. Seeing the 3 pairs of questioning eyes staring at him, Gu Xiong immediately awkwardly laughed. This door was a bit dirty. I just cleaned it up. And now it's all good. After saying that, he tried to quickly take Qin Feng away, but was stopped by Qiu Guohai. Upon hearing that the two were taking Qin Feng out, Gu Xiong immediately became alert. What are you planning to do? You aren't taking him out for a meal or some fun and relaxation, then to a foot massage place to show him the world, are you? That's devious, really devious. Trying to win over Qin Feng's heart with sweet tactics. No way. How can a rookie like him resist that? All fire at me. Focus on me. Gu Xiong, with a shameless grin, said, I happen to have some errands to run, so I'll join you. Why are you everywhere? You, a rookie company commander. What kind of errands do you have to run? Qiu Guohai nearly wanted to slap him and then give him a kick. Even Ji Mingyuan, who usually had a good temper, expressed, I feel the same way. Chapter 128. Is it red and warm again? His wife must be very beautiful. Da-da-da? Da-da-da? Shaka was handcuffed to an iron bench, shivering from the cold. His teeth were chattering incessantly, making a sound similar to a typewriter. His clothes were soaked, and water kept dripping down. The air conditioning vent continued to blow cold air incessantly. At that moment, the door of the interrogation room was suddenly opened. Looking up at the newcomer, Shaka's eyes instantly turned red, his anger reaching a peak. Bastard, son of a bitch, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Shaka shouted loudly, rattling the handcuffs and chair in a frenzy. Qin Feng sat across from him, wearing a calm expression. His purpose here was to find a way to break Shaka's defenses. As soon as he sat down, however, Shaka immediately began to act like a mad dog. Fortunately, he was restrained, so he couldn't bite anyone. Cough, cough, Shaka, confess, and you'll be treated leniently. Resist, and you'll face severe consequences. I advise you to think carefully. Qin Feng's opening statement was somewhat cliché, which immediately provoked Shaka's unrestrained laughter. However, he wasn't laughing at Qin Feng, but rather at the group of people behind the glass. You can't interrogate me, and you're still looking for outside help? It's ridiculous to bring this guy here, truly laughable. The officers behind the one-way glass frowned, but made no comment. Their goal was to provoke Shaka, looking for a breakthrough while he was losing control. It seemed that the effect was quite good. As soon as Qin Feng appeared, Shaka was already starting to lose his temper. Next, it was up to Qin Feng to see if he could add fuel to the fire. You're quite brave to come see me alone. I've memorized your face. Just wait, if I don't die, I will chop you into minced meat and feed you to the dogs. Facing Shaka's threat, Qin Feng simply dug at his ear and said, I wish you success. This remark only fueled Shaka's anger further. But before he could continue with his profanities, Qin Feng interrupted his broken Chinese. I say, you must not be very well regarded at home, right? Shaka's expression changed slightly, but he quickly masked it with a cold smile. He knew why Qin Feng was there and what he intended to do. Therefore, instead of showing resistance, he wore a mocking grin. Kid, I advise you not to waste your effort. You'll get nothing valuable from me. Qin Feng noticed the subtle change in Shaka's eyes, confirming his suspicion. The reason for this line of thinking was simple. Many families with 2 children face such issues. Moreover, this guy was unpredictable, a bit simple-minded, like a little genius. If Qin Feng were his father, he definitely wouldn't be like him. He continued to make assumptions. I bet your older brother is quite impressive and is definitely more valued in the family than you, right? Shaka's nostrils flared slightly, and his tone began to grow angry. What the hell? Let me tell you, don't think you can trick me into talking. I know what you're trying to do. You want to provoke me into losing control, right? It's useless. I've received the most professional anti-coercion training. Your little tricks won't fool me. Qin Feng did not become impatient after being exposed. Instead, he patiently leaned back in his chair, rhythmically tapping his fingers on the table. He carefully analyzed Shaka's response in his mind, unraveling the layers of meaning within. A large portion of what Shaka said was nonsense, with the only useful part being the phrase "shut up." This indicated that he was subconsciously denying his own views while feeling superior. From this, Qin Feng inferred that the relationship between the 2 brothers was not good. Of course, in a family with too much wealth, conflicts often arise over resource and inheritance distribution, leading to disharmony among siblings, sometimes resulting in fierce disputes. This is a common trope in wealthy family dramas. Based on the above, Qin Feng could draw several conclusions. The brothers were at odds. Shaka felt superior to his elder brother, who was indeed more capable than this foolish sibling. From these keywords, Qin Feng seemed to have found a key point that could successfully provoke Shaka and break his defenses. He leaned over the table, bringing his face slightly closer, and smiled as he said, "Let me boldly speculate about your motive for crossing the line this time. As the second son of the Shaka drug cartel, you receive no attention at home because you have an elder brother who outshines you in every aspect. At home, no one respects you, no one listens to you. You are just a seemingly glamorous but actually weak and pathetic creature. Shut up. You're the pathetic one. In my family, I have the final say. Who dares to defy me? I'll just chop them up and feed them to the dogs." Qin Feng raised an eyebrow at Shaka's sudden outburst of rage. He had struck a nerve, so he decided to press on this point. Thus, Qin Feng came up with 2 bold hypotheses. Either someone wanted to set him up, deliberately arranging this life-threatening task to send Shaka here to self-destruct, or Shaka was secretly acting on his own, attempting to pull off something significant without his family's knowledge. If it were merely to sell a few pounds of flour, that would be absurd. It was far too trivial for someone like Shaka to take such a huge risk and travel so far for a meager profit. It was akin to a wealthy individual driving a luxury car to hawk cheap goods in the square. Qin Feng articulated these 2 hypotheses one by one. Shaka's anger intensified, clearly showing that he was becoming agitated. However, the more Shaka expressed his anger and denial, the more it proved that Qin Feng's strategy was effective. Therefore, he prepared to attack Shaka's pain points to achieve a greater breakthrough. Qin Feng looked at him with an extremely sympathetic and pitying gaze, saying, "Shaka, you are truly pathetic. Running such a long distance to deliver your own head to me. To be honest, I really have to thank you. Because of you, I received a commendation from the troops." Shaka gritted his teeth. If looks could kill, he would have already torn Qin Feng to shreds. He was suffering and about to face dire consequences, while this guy not only received praise, but even achieved something noteworthy. For Shaka, this was more painful than being stabbed with a knife. Meanwhile, Qin Feng continued to rub salt in his wounds. "Shaka, have you considered that when your capture was announced, your dear brother might already be at home celebrating with champagne? By the way, do you have a wife? If so, she might be embracing your brother right now, celebrating together." At that moment, Shaka's eyes widened like saucers, and his face visibly flushed with anger. Qin Feng thought to himself, his wife must be very beautiful, otherwise, how could he react this way? Chapter 129. Commander, can you be a bit more positive? Shaka's expression grew increasingly ferocious, and his anger continued to escalate. He could already imagine the satisfied and happy look on Xiang's face upon hearing about his capture. Due to family business matters and his father's favoritism, he had always felt resentful towards this older brother. It was precisely to prove himself that Shaka had taken such risks. But ultimately, he had been captured, and it was highly likely he wouldn't make it out alive. At this moment, everything happening outside was irrelevant to him. Shaka's anger vanished, replaced by a wild smile. "Ha ha. Impressive, truly impressive. I never expected you to be so capable, managing to provoke me with just a few words. But so what? I'm already locked up here, about to die, and what do those outside matters have to do with me? Even if you guess some trivial things correctly, what does it matter? You won't get anything valuable from me." Shaka's expression showed a hint of pride, as if he had already secured a position of invincibility in this recent game. Seeing this scene, the officers in the room across the way couldn't help but furrow their brows. Although Qin Feng's reasoning just now was indeed impressive and had successfully provoked Shaka, they still hadn't obtained any valuable clues or information. This left many present with puzzled and confused expressions. A few officers couldn't hold back and turned to Qiu Guohai for answers. However, Qiu Guohai was equally puzzled by what Qin Feng was doing at that moment, only able to respond with a polite yet awkward smile. Qiu Guohai suddenly regretted not bringing Gu Zhiyong along. That kid had spent more time with Qin Feng and would surely know what kind of game Qin Feng was playing right now. Meanwhile, in the interrogation room, Qin Feng rubbed his chilly arms and spoke again. Have you ever thought that the reason you ended up in this situation is because of your brother? What did you say? I said, don't you think you've been set up? Qin Feng spoke in a calm yet aggressive tone. If you die, who benefits the most? Who gains the most? Are you really willing to be a pawn for others? Shaka wanted to argue back, but suddenly his pupils constricted. It seemed he realized something, and his expression turned extremely grim. He suddenly understood that it had always been Sha Yang subtly informing him that the East held immense wealth, representing a huge market. This must be why he inexplicably had the urge to make a name for himself here. With this thought, Shaka's face changed from red to purple, feeling as if he had swallowed something foul. He sensed that there was indeed a hint of conspiracy involved. Thinking of his brother's face and usual demeanor, Shaka felt as if he had been living in Sha Yang's shadow, manipulated by him all along. Damn it. In that moment, Shaka began to feel a bit broken. Meanwhile, outside, Cui Gongyi noticed Shaka's change, and his heart leaped with joy. He hurriedly instructed everyone to be prepared and informed them that the content of the conversation between the two might be crucial. Cui Gongyi's eyes sparkled with excitement. He realized that Qin Feng seemed to have created a breakthrough for them. As long as they continued to press on this point, they might achieve unexpected results. Ha ha. Qin Feng, you kid are impressive. Even I feel proud alongside you. On the way back, Qiu Guohai couldn't stop smiling. Even Ji Mingyuan openly praised Qin Feng. Just moments ago, Qin Feng's tactic of sowing discord had successfully broken Shaka's defenses. Soon, with the cooperation of the police interrogators, Shaka's psychological barriers were completely dismantled, and he quickly revealed some information. While it was certain that he was still hiding some matters, this was already a significant breakthrough compared to before. Therefore, before leaving, Cui Gongyi expressed his heartfelt gratitude to Qin Feng. He also emphasized in the report the appreciation for the assistance provided by the 402nd Regiment. This made both Qiu Guohai and Ji Mingyuan nearly burst into smiles. Soon, Qiu Guohai dropped Qin Feng back at the new recruits company, on one side of the training ground. Preparations for grenade throwing were underway. When a military vehicle stopped nearby, everyone instinctively turned their attention. And when they saw Qin Feng stepping out of the vehicle, chatting and laughing with the commander, both new recruits and veterans showed deep envy on their faces. It was said that new recruits were not allowed to run around. Yet Qin Feng could ride in the commander's vehicle, with the commander himself driving. What kind of extraordinary treatment was this? But what surprised everyone even more was yet to come. Everyone was ordered to rest for 10 minutes. Gu Zhiyong immediately jogged over to Qin Feng after giving the command. This scene left everyone utterly bewildered. The commander picks up and drops off, the company leader greets, and even runs, serving in the same recruit company as Qin Feng. They face various mental challenges every day. Each time they think they have reached their limit, they realize they were being naive. The company commander and battalion commander's vehicle have already driven away. Qin Feng saluted the approaching company commander. Without saying a word, Gu Zhiyong pulled him aside and, with a very serious tone, looked at him and asked, "Tell me honestly, did they take you to wash your feet?" Washing feet. Qin Feng was completely baffled. What kind of feet washing during the day? Gu Zhiyong glanced around, as if he were committing a crime, and cautiously asked, "You tell me the truth. Was it 198 or 698? If it's the latter, you're done. They have a hold over you." Qin Feng's eyes twitched. What are you talking about? Commander, can you be a bit healthier and more positive? He awkwardly replied, "Commander, it's not what you think. The battalion commander did take me out for serious business. I can't reveal too much, but I can tell you it's related to the last attack." Hearing this, Gu Zhiyong realized he had misunderstood. He immediately masked his embarrassment with a smile. "So that's what happened? Haha. All right, I understand. You can return to your unit." "Yes, sir." Qin Feng jogged back to the formation. The afternoon's activity involved live grenade throwing training. However, calling it training would be more accurate to describe it as an assessment. The graduation assessment for the recruit company is not completed all in one day. Some items are assessed during regular training. So, everyone in the recruit company gathered to prepare for the assessment. "Brother Feng, where did you go after the commendation meeting this morning?" "Yeah. Why did you just come back now?" "Brother Feng, the cafeteria had your favorite braised shrimp and lamb chops for lunch. You didn't get to eat any, but I secretly saved some for you. Due to confidentiality." Qin Feng couldn't reveal the truth to them, and could only come up with a random excuse to brush it off. At that moment, the entire recruit company was gathered together. Qin Feng glanced over and noticed that besides the fourth squad, the other recruits seemed somewhat nervous. Unlike the training grenades, this time they were real explosives. If they were careless during the throw, or if it fell at their feet, it could be fatal. Li Jiaxing and others, having experienced real-life crises, naturally had a much better mindset than the rest. Beep, beep, beep. The whistle sounded. The team quickly assembled and stood in formation, forming a large square. Gu Xiong stood at the front, scanning everyone. You should all be familiar with the specific movements from training. However, before we start the live grenade throwing assessment, there's one more thing you need to complete. Then, a squad leader stepped forward and handed over a stack of white paper. Gu Xiong held the stack in his hand and raised it high for everyone to see. Considering this assessment, it is different from other training subjects and carries a certain level of danger. If things go wrong, it could be fatal. For everyone's sake, each person must leave behind a letter before we begin. A letter? There was an uproar at the scene. All the new recruits were taken aback, and the fear in their eyes deepened. Chapter 130. Is dying from a grenade explosion considered heroic? Everyone showed great reluctance towards writing this thing. Death is the root of human fear. Therefore, this became something that everyone was most unwilling to face. Gu Xiong noticed the resistance among the crowd and said coldly, I know, you might be thinking, this is just an assessment. Why does it feel like we're going to war? Why do we have to write this? He took a grenade from a box beside him and held it in his hand. Without saying anything, he walked directly to a low wall. He pulled the pin and forcefully threw the grenade. Boom! An explosion erupted, sending a cloud of dust up from behind the wall. Everyone present flinched, their hearts trembling. Gu Xiong turned to the crowd and said seriously, did you all see that? This is the real deal, not the kind of training you did before. If not handled properly, not only could you lose your life, but you might not even have a complete body left. So, to prevent such accidents, everyone must write this seriously. If something unexpected happens, this will be the last thought left for your families. Gu Xiong's words were heavy, making the already nervous recruits even more anxious. Even Li Jiaxing and Chen Sanqi began to sweat in their palms uncontrollably. They clearly saw the power of the grenade explosion just now. If it exploded nearby, it would definitely be a gruesome end. Everyone, time is limited. You only have 15 minutes. Gu Xiong instructed the squad leaders to distribute paper and pens. He told everyone to lie on each other's backs to write, and reminded them to avoid unnecessary words and focus on the important content. In no time, all the new recruits squatted on the ground, leaning over and deep in thought. At the age of 18 or 19, they had only written love letters before. Now they were unexpectedly writing a letter of farewell, but many were troubled about what to write. Who in their right mind would write such a thing when they were alive? Isn't that just tempting fate? Everyone's gaze inadvertently drifted to the 2 boxes of grenades at the squad leader's feet. But if an accident really occurred during training and they left no words behind, how heartbroken their families would be. Thinking of this, many finally picked up their pens and began to write down what they wanted to say. But as they wrote, some started to wipe away tears. Sad emotions spread easily. In just a short time, many could be seen with red eyes. Some even cried while writing. Dear Mom and Dad, by the time you see this letter, I will no longer be here. Don't be sad for me. Don't feel sorry for me. Because your child is a hero. Li Jiaxing paused, sniffling as he turned his head. With tears in his eyes, he looked back at Qin Feng and asked, Class Vice Captain, if someone is killed by a grenade during training, does that count as a hero? Counts as a fool. Qin Feng replied after thinking seriously for a moment. Li Jiaxing immediately burst into tears. Woo, I thought if I got blown up, I could still go to the Martyrs Cemetery later. Qin Feng rolled his eyes. Do you think the Martyrs Cemetery is a market where you can just walk in? Hurry up, stop writing that useless stuff, focus on the important things. Got it. Li Jiaxing turned back and continued to write while sniffling. Dad, if I'm gone, please burn me 20 big wave foreign girls, a villa with a swimming pool. Forget the Maybach, I want a Rolls Royce, the long version, and also burn me a driver, who must be a beauty. Seeing what Li Jiaxing was writing next, Qin Feng couldn't help but exclaim in his mind. As expected of the ordinary Li Xiao, even writing a will was so plain and unadorned, showcasing a rich person's demeanor everywhere. Even down there, he would still be someone extraordinary. Suddenly, Qin Feng hissed, feeling as if something had pricked his back. He turned around and found Chen Sanqi crying with tears in his eyes, his right hand trembling like a sieve. The paper in his hand had already been poked with several holes by the pen tip. Chen Sanqi, what's wrong with you? Brother Feng, I don't want to die, I'm scared. Seeing Chen Sanqi's pitiful appearance, Qin Feng couldn't help but feel amused. So he quietly comforted him, don't be afraid. The company commander just wants to scare everyone. Nothing will happen. Just write boldly. But Chen Sanqi's big snot was almost dragging to his mouth. But what if I don't throw it out, or it falls at my feet? Then I'm done for. Then just throw it hard. Qin Feng's retort interrupted Chen Sanqi's panic. He even sucked back his snot with force. After 2 seconds, he returned to his previous crying state. But what if? There is no what if. What if? There is no what if. Qin Feng looked at him seriously. Just think about how we escaped death before. Even the enemy's bullets couldn't hurt you. What is there to fear from a grenade? Chen Sanchi thought for a moment and felt it made sense. Brother Feng, you're right. I'm lucky and destined to be safe. Then he continued to lean on Qin Feng's back to write, occasionally asking questions. How do you write sacrifice? Is heroic sacrifice the same as saving people? Or is it like ambulance? Qin Feng patiently told him to use pinyin instead. This could be considered a small guilty pleasure of his. Owell opened up with half of it full of holes and the other half in pinyin. At that moment, Qin Feng inexplicably felt he was becoming more and more like a competent class leader. In the past, Zhao Pengfei liked to play pranks on everyone, whether there was a reason or not, often making harmless little jokes. Now that the class leader is gone and Qin Feng has taken on more responsibilities, he surprisingly enjoys doing the same thing. It really proves the saying, years later, I will become you. However, thinking about Zhao Pengfei makes Qin Feng feel increasingly uncomfortable. In truth, Qin Feng had his own selfish reasons for agreeing to cooperate with the police in interrogating that individual. No matter what, the class leader ended up like this because of that despicable person. Therefore, out of a sense of revenge, Qin Feng felt compelled to give him a hard lesson. Although he couldn't physically harm him or take his life, delivering a severe psychological blow that would leave this guy doubting himself and suffering in the days leading up to his end would still be quite satisfying. However, Qin Feng wasn't entirely sure if that individual had truly been set up by his older brother. The manipulation was merely intended to make him uncomfortable. As long as he saw that individual in distress, Qin Feng would feel a bit better. Brother Feng, what are you writing? After finishing, Chen Sanchi curiously leaned over to take a look at Qin Feng's side. Qin Feng didn't hide it. His farewell letter contained only one line. This life is too short. I will honor my parents in the next life. In truth, Qin Feng wasn't particularly keen on leaving such things behind. It wasn't that he was unwilling to write, but rather because his situation was different from most people. Others, who had never faced life and death crises, instinctively feared death. But for Qin Feng, death felt as mundane as visiting a neighbor's house. He could go in, chat for a bit, and even take a handful of seeds with him when he left. Thus, Qin Feng thought it would be better to share his thoughts with them while alive rather than leaving them on paper. Of course, not everyone shares an experience like Qin Feng's. The vast majority have many things they want to say to their families when facing the threat of death. Some even needed more than one piece of paper and asked Ge Xiong for an extra one, writing as if composing an essay, flowing with words. Qin Feng even noticed a new recruit from the neighboring class who had detailed plans for body donation. It must be said that after becoming soldiers, everyone's awareness had significantly increased. Ge Xiong walked among the crowd like a proctor, occasionally sneaking glances at what everyone was writing in their farewell letters. Although he had set a time limit of 15 minutes, he didn't rush anyone even if they exceeded that time. This farewell letter was a form of training and testing for the new recruits. Being able to complete it indicated that they had, to some extent, overcome their fear of death. This was crucial for their future growth and development. How can a soldier fear death? If you're afraid of death, what are you doing as a soldier? This was a saying many veterans often repeated. Soon, Ge Xiong collected the farewell letters and led everyone to the throwing area. Throwing grenades was actually quite simple. It wasn't like the usual training with wooden grenades, where the distance mattered. As long as you could pull the pin and throw the grenade forcefully over the low wall in front of you, that was sufficient. At present, they are starting to go through the process in order by class. There will be safety personnel wearing red armbands on site to accompany them. To be safe, the class leaders are also watching closely as an extra precaution. As grenades are thrown one after another, the sound of explosions continues to come from behind the low wall. After hearing it a lot, everyone seems to be less tense and fearful. They feel that the so-called live ammunition assessment is not that difficult after all. Soon, the assessment team arrived at Class 4. Since Zhao Pengfei is not present, Qin Feng took over as the class leader and helped supervise from the side. The safety personnel firmly grasped Li Jiaxing's hand and helped him pull the pin from the grenade. Throw! At the shout from the safety personnel, Li Jiaxing quickly threw the grenade. Boom! Hearing the explosion from the other side of the wall, Li Jiaxing covered his ears and felt a sense of relief. Qin Feng smiled and patted him on the back. How was it? Not nervous anymore, right? Li Jiaxing immediately grinned and said, Class Vice, when was I nervous? I was just being cautious. If there had been a camera, Qin Feng really would have wanted to capture his earlier timid expression. Next, Chen Sanchi. Here. Chen Sanchi ran over nervously. The procedure was the same. He received the grenade, and the safety personnel helped him pull the pin. Perhaps due to being overly anxious. Before the safety personnel could even shout throw, Chen Sanchi had already launched the grenade. But the problem was, due to his sweaty hands, he didn't hold it securely. The grenade flew out, but it dropped back near the feet of the three people. At that moment, everyone felt a chill run down their spines. Get back, quick! Boom. The moment the grenade detonated, Almost all the new recruits instinctively dropped to the ground. Flames and smoke rose up, and Gu Zhiyong and Bai Yuan rushed forward in a panic, praying that nothing would go wrong. Cough, cough, cough. A series of coughing sounds came from the nearby pit. When Gu Zhiyong rushed closer, he was pleasantly surprised to find that the three of them were unscathed and stood up. It turned out that just as the grenade bounced back, Qin Feng and the safety personnel had almost simultaneously grabbed the dazed Chen Sanchi and quickly jumped into the blast pit to take cover. The so-called blast pit is a large hole dug next to the throwing point, surrounded by sandbags. The purpose is to prevent similar emergencies from occurring. Are you all okay? Not hurt. We're fine. The safety personnel waved their hands and was the first to climb out. Qin Feng also helped Chen Sanchi up from the pit. Company commander, can I throw one more time? Chen Sanchi looked disheveled, resembling a dirty stray dog by the roadside. Gu Zhiyong and Bai Yuan's eyes twitched. They were almost scared out of their wits, and he still wants to try again? Fortunately, nothing serious happened just now. If there had been an accident, their military career would have come to an abrupt end. Gu Zhiyong said coldly, everyone only has one chance. Chen Sanchi, your performance in this project is unsatisfactory. Hearing that he had failed the assessment, Chen Sanchi looked extremely dejected. Clearly, he hadn't expected to mess up so badly. Qin Feng patted him, signaling him to step aside as there were others waiting for their assessments. With Chen Sanchi as a cautionary tale, the next assessments became much more careful. It wasn't that the new recruits were more vigilant, but rather the safety officers were on high alert. It was no longer enough to just help them pull the safety pins. They had to hold the new recruits' hands throughout the process. Only when the command to throw was shouted did they dare to let go. They also had to be ready to pull someone into a shelter at any moment. Better safe than sorry. Being cautious was definitely the right approach. Qin Feng was the last one from his squad to go. After everyone else had finished, he threw his grenade as well. Since his right hand was still injured, he could only use his left hand to throw. It was surprisingly easy. Much easier than throwing a sandbag. 2 days later in the afternoon, everyone was preparing for live-fire shooting assessments. The new recruits unit didn't have a shooting range, but the battalion did. Thus, everyone was taken to the battalion's shooting range. The range was located on the west side of the base, with a small hill behind it and rows of targets at the foot of the hill. Since it was a battalion shooting range, there were quite a few veterans training there as well. When they saw so many new recruits coming to shoot, they immediately showed expressions of amusement. In the eyes of the veterans, the new recruits were like mascots. They also wanted to see if there were any tough characters among this year's newcomers. At a distance of 100 meters, the target was a chest ring. In a prone position, load the bullets. Gu Zhiyong wasted no time on unnecessary words. Briefly explained a couple of points, and then announced the start of the assessment. The 10 new recruits from the first squad immediately began to load their magazines under the supervision of their safety officers. They lay down, resting their rifles on the support, aiming at the distant target. Although it was only 100 meters away, without a scope, it was still quite difficult to see clearly with just the naked eye. However, the results of this shooting assessment would directly affect their future assignments, so they had to concentrate fully. Bullets loaded, prepare. Click, click. Everyone pulled back the bolts as required. With Gu Zhiyong's command to shoot, they immediately pulled the triggers. The sound of gunfire echoed continuously at the range. The watching veterans, having nothing better to do, started betting on the scores. Some bet on soda, others on instant noodles, and some on cigarettes. In any case, there was a wide variety of bets. Before long, the 10 recruits finished firing their 5 assessment rounds. After standing up, they had to pull back the bolts and unload the magazines. Only after the safety officer confirmed that there were no bullets left could they leave the shooting position. Why does each shooting position need to have a safety officer? And why do we have to go through this whole process even after finishing? We didn't have these rules during our regular training. In the waiting line, someone whispered curiously to inquire. Qin Feng replied softly, during regular training, the guns are not loaded, so we must be careful during live shooting. He reminded everyone like a caring mother, make sure you remember the steps and procedures, don't forget during the assessment and embarrass yourselves. Got it. He looked at the safety officers wearing fluorescent green vests, each holding a small flag. Qin Feng thought to himself that even in the military, the control of firearms and ammunition is very strict. He had heard that in a certain military, a rookie had a jam during shooting training. This guy actually put the gun on the ground and leaned in to check the barrel. As a result, he accidentally pulled the trigger and ended up with a tragic outcome. Although such incidents are rare, if they happen, it can be disastrous. Additionally, some rookies, due to excessive excitement, would turn around with the gun still loaded after not firing all their rounds. The presence of safety officers is to prevent such foolish actions and ensure everyone's safety. Report, target position 1, 3 hits. Target position 2, 2 hits. Target position 3, 3 hits. As soon as the first round of shooting ended, the sound of the target reporter came through Gu Zhiyong's walkie-talkie. The shooting assessment for the rookie company is relatively simple, mainly to see if they can hit the target. Of course, scoring high would be even better. But achieving that is still quite difficult. This is because the rookie company has not had live ammunition training. Before the assessment, everyone only underwent a series of gun handling and aiming training, without actually firing a shot. So, to be precise, this is the first time the rookies are shooting. And thus the expectations are naturally lower. Bang, bang, bang. Occasionally, gunfire echoed across the shooting range. The shooting assessment is conducted in groups, with 10 people per team. The round ends after firing 5 bullets, which is quite efficient. Soon, the third team finished shooting, and it was the fourth team's turn. Prone position load, Gu Xiong shouted without any hesitation. The members of the fourth team immediately crouched down and began to load 5 bullets into the magazine one by one. Chamber the rounds. Get ready. Click, click. Everyone pulled back the bolt and lay on the ground, aiming at the target. Compared to the slight tension of others, Qin Feng appeared remarkably calm. He was the only one in the rookie company who had actually fired live rounds before. Because of this, his handling felt much better than the others. With a shot fired, everyone hurriedly pulled the triggers. Bang, bang, bang. The gunfire rang out one after another. However, it seemed that many people's bullets did not hit the target, but instead all struck the dirt mound behind, sending clumps of earth flying. Soon, all the rookies emptied their magazines. Following the familiar procedure, they waited for the safety officer to check and confirm that there were no bullets left in the magazines before they could stand up. Report, target position 1, 3 hits. Target position 2, 3 hits. Target position 3, 1 hit. Target position 10, all 5 hits, all hitting the red star. Upon hearing the voice from the walkie-talkie, everyone present couldn't help but widen their eyes. All 5 hits, all hitting the red star? What kind of incredible shooting skill is this? Everyone unconsciously turned their gaze towards target number 10. The new recruit's eyelids twitched, while the veteran squad leader wore an expression of as expected. The onlooking veterans from the regiment all had ghostly expressions. Damn, among these new recruits, there's actually a hidden ace. This is bad. If this guy gets assigned to their unit, they're going to have a hard time in the future. Chapter 132, Love is Gone. Brothers turn against each other. The bathroom was steaming. Under the shower head, Gu Xiong was taking a shower. Hot water poured down from above, cascading over his body. With his eyes closed, his mind was replaying various events from the past 3 months in the recruit company. From the incident where a kid from Team 6 jumped off a building after a breakup and was persuaded back by Qin Feng, to the 3-kilometer test where Qin Feng outsmarted the staff officer and claimed first place. Then there was the time Qin Feng got injured while saving someone and ended up in the hospital, earning a first-class merit and a verbal commendation for himself. Following that was a mountain search and rescue operation, narrowly escaping death, though it had only been a little over 3 months. So much had happened that it felt longer than a year. Earlier that day, the new recruits completed all the content of their training assessment, and unsurprisingly, Qin Feng ranked first in all subjects, especially his shooting score from a few days ago, which was a perfect 50. However, for Qin Feng, given his previous experiences, this assessment was clearly child's play, merely a formality to go through with everyone. At that moment, he suddenly felt hot breath blowing on the back of his neck. As he turned around, he was startled by a big face nearly pressed up against him. What the hell, Wu Jian, what are you doing here? Squad leader Wu Jian, wearing a scrubbing towel on his right hand, leaned in with a mischievous grin. Gu Xiong wiped the water from his face and shrank back into the corner, saying, Why the hell did you come here? I'm taking a shower. Wu Jian chuckled. I went to the office to find you, and your instructor said you were showering. So I came over to help you scrub your back. Come on, stick your butt out, don't be shy. Get lost. I'm not letting you. Gu Xiong pushed him away, his vigilance not diminishing at all. Why are you here in my recruit company instead of staying in your own squad? And now you want to help me shower? I don't believe you're that kind-hearted. Spit it out if you have something to say, and keep your distance. Otherwise, I'll swing at you. As he said this, he forcefully thrust his hips, as if trying to show off. Wu Jian rolled his eyes, almost exasperated. What are you pretending for? Can you even swing that? He continued. ISNT the rank ceremony tomorrow, and you're heading to your unit the day after? I wanted to ask you for a couple of good soldiers. Hearing this, Gu Xiong was speechless. Is that all? After all these years of knowing each other, do you think I wouldn't take care of you? I've already scouted a few promising candidates, but you need to bring me some cigarettes in exchange. You know the pressure I've been under. If the other squads find out about this, they might team up to deal with me. Wu Jian had a grateful smile on his face and insisted on giving Gu Xiong a scrub. Gu Xiong, not one to refuse, simply turned off the shower. He pressed both hands against the wall tiles, slightly arching his body. Wu Jian also put in a lot of effort, scrubbing tirelessly. Look at this, it's all mud. You see how dirty you are? Haven't you bathed in 10 days, or half a month? Gu Xiong glanced at the dark streaks on his shoulder and chuckled awkwardly. The conditions in the new recruits' barracks were limited, making it impossible to shower every day. Most of the time, they just washed their feet and faces with a basin. Those who were a bit particular would dampen a towel and wipe their bodies. Although Gu Zhiyong was the commander of the new recruits, he received the same treatment as everyone else and certainly couldn't he receive special treatment. It was also because they were scheduled for promotions tomorrow that they arranged for a collective shower. Gu Zhiyong was a bit late because he had some matters to handle. At this point, everyone had already showered and returned to the dormitory. So, how was the scrubbing? Not bad, right? I've worked so hard scrubbing. Can I ask for one more soldier from you without issue? Oh, among this batch of new recruits, there's actually someone who catches your eye, Captain Wu. Just for your attentive service, I'll definitely help you add his name later. I want Qin. Wu Jian seemed to trigger a keyword, making Gu Zhiyong's expression instantly sharp. And he turned around immediately. Are you trying to poach from me? Old Gu, after all these years of friendship, how could I do such a thing? Wu Jian took off the scrubbing cloth, shook off the black mud on it, and looked innocent. Everyone knows you can't take this soldier away. The Steel Knife Squad has already gone independent. You might as well hand him over to me. I guarantee I will cultivate him well. Gu Zhiyong scoffed. So you came here tonight just for Qin Feng? Wu Jian smiled awkwardly, and didn't he deny it. I already know about Qin Feng's shooting results. All 5 shots hit the 10 ring, which means he has a natural talent for being a sharpshooter. As long as you agree to give me this soldier from now on, you'll be my dad. Why don't you just say I'm your grandpa? That works too. Wu Jian's approach is all about being flexible. Screw you. Gu Zhiyong didn't he give him any face. You can choose anyone else, but not this one. Wu Jian's tone softened. Old Gu. We've been good brothers for so many years. Don't talk to me about friendship. This matter is non-negotiable. Gu Zhiyong raised a hand to interrupt him. Moreover, I can tell you with 100% certainty that Qin Feng will definitely follow me. Neither you nor old Chiu can think about it. Wu Jian paused, then widened his eyes in terror. Damn, you can't be serious. Stop right there. I'm not looking for that old guy. Gu Zhiyong quickly distanced himself from it. Also, this matter must not be spread outside. If a second person knows about it, don't blame me for turning my back on you. By then, we won't even be brothers. Wu Jian never expected that for a new recruit. Such a long-standing friendship would be at risk. He didn't know what to say at this moment. Forget it. Pretend I never came. Take your time washing. I'm leaving. See you later. Gu Zhiyong called him back. Wu Jian immediately showed a look of joy. What's up? Change your mind? Change your mind, my foot. Give me back my bath towel. That's the only one I have. Wu Jian disdainfully threw the towel over and walked away grumbling. After receiving it, Gu Zhiyong rinsed it and started scrubbing himself. But as he scrubbed, a helpless smile appeared on his face. For Qin Feng, he gave up love and even fell out with his brothers. He was a bit puzzled. This kid Qin Feng, could he have been a disaster in his past life? Like a certain infamous figure? Why does it seem like everywhere he goes, a bunch of people end up fighting over him? Meanwhile, in an office at the Information Warfare Center of the Thunder Leopard Special Operations Brigade, Zhu Huihui was engrossed in her phone. Are you there? Do you like eating yancha noodles? Do you like drinking hot and spicy soup? I really like it. Looking at the long, silly chat messages in the dialogue box, she couldn't stop giggling. At that moment, a head suddenly leaned in quietly beside her. Seeing the person, Zhu Huihui was so startled that she almost dropped her phone and hurriedly stood up to salute. See, Captain. Yuan Feng smiled and pointed at her. Are you in a relationship? Zhu Huihui quickly shook her head vigorously. No. I was just casually looking at messages, spam. Yuan Feng responded with an O. Then took out a piece of peanut candy. Want some? Zhu Huihui politely declined. No, thank you. Yuan Feng didn't seem surprised. Do you have time tomorrow? Zhu Huihui hesitated for a moment, then looked at her messy desk. I have a bit. That means I'm not too busy. Yuan Feng smiled. Come with me tomorrow. I'm going to pick someone up. Who? Chapter 133. Teaching by example. Passing on the flame 200 push-ups. Get ready. Listen to my command. After 10 o'clock, the entire new recruits dormitory building was dark. In the 4th Squad's dormitory, Qin Feng was supervising everyone to complete a physical training session. During the days when the squad leader was absent, Qin Feng had been fulfilling the responsibilities of a class officer. From gathering and forming ranks, to tidying up the room, daily training, and pre-sleep physical activities, he managed everything meticulously. It was just like when the squad leader was present. Initially, the instructor considered having the 2nd platoon leader help keep an eye on things, but after seeing how well organized the 4th Squad was under Qin Feng's management, he abandoned that idea. It was unclear when it started, but no one in the recruit company regarded Qin Feng as a new recruit anymore. Everyone had long viewed him as a half-veteran squad leader. There was even a time when he caught a new recruit from the 5th Squad smoking in the restroom. And the recruit sheepishly said to him, Sorry, I won't do it again. Qin Feng naturally waved him off, telling him to leave quickly. Chen Sanchi, Xia Bin. You two have injuries, so you don't need to do push-ups. Upon hearing Qin Feng's words, both of them showed joy. But then, their smiles vanished. You two. Do deep squats in place. Huh. 2 people were sulking and dragging their voices. Qin Feng frowned slightly. What are you doing? Hurry up. Yes. Everyone was already accustomed to Qin Feng's orders. As the deputy of Class 4, He had the highest authority here in the absence of the class leader. Of course, his position wasn't the most important thing. What mattered most was that Qin Feng held a high status in everyone's mind. Therefore, everyone listened to him and consciously followed his commands. As usual, he called out the numbers, and they followed. 1, 2. In the dormitory of Class 4, everyone was doing push-ups in sync with Qin Feng's command. Those with arm injuries were doing squats instead. Outside the window, the leaders of Class 5 and Class 6, Zhou Shangfei, couldn't help but shake their heads while secretly observing. Impressive. Yeah, this guy has the demeanor of a general. People are inherently lazy. No one is born to love hardship. With all assessments ending today, they would be receiving their ranks tomorrow. They wanted the new recruits in their class to do one last round of physical training, but a group of them was reluctant, as if they had a toothache. However, Class 4, with such excellent assessment results, still managed to complete their physical training voluntarily even after lights out, and this was all under the leadership of Qin Feng. Without Zhao Pengfei present, though they all came to serve in the military, the gap between their class and Class 4 was simply too wide. This also determined that the new recruits from Class 4 would definitely have better prospects in the army than others. And all of this was because of Qin Feng. He was the soul and backbone of Class 4, irreplaceable. Which company do you think Qin Feng will be assigned to in the end? The leader of Class 5 asked quietly. Zhou Shangfei smiled proudly. Need you ask? He'll definitely come to our 4th company. In our regiment. Only our sharpshooter company is the best fit for Qin Feng. Seeing Zhou's confident demeanor, the leader of Class 5 scoffed. Our motorized company isn't bad either, okay? We have commuting support wherever we go. Zhou Shangfei laughed, patted the younger guy on the back, and turned back to the dormitory. You'd send such a talent to drive and repair cars in your company? Is your head filled with water, or is the regiment commander's head filled with water? Hearing Qin Feng start to call out decimal points, Li Jiaxing and the others turned pale. Deputy, why are you even adding decimal points? Come on. Why don't you learn something good from the class leader? Brother Feng, hurry up and finish, my legs are about to break. Qin Feng chose to ignore them. What nonsense during training. I told you to work on your physical fitness, not to chat. Originally, the 200 push-ups turned into a grueling 240. But did you think that was it? The pre-sleep physical training had already changed from 3 sets of 100 to 3 sets of 200. After the push-ups, they took a short break. And then it was time for sit-ups, followed by core training. Great. 1 for the deputy, 1 for the class leader, 1 for the squad leader, and another for the deputy. Qin Feng's little tricks were in full swing, tormenting the group to the point of suffering. They even suspected that Qin Feng had been possessed by the class leader. Otherwise, how could these unusual tricks be used so skillfully? It was past 11, and the physical training finally came to an end. Although it was almost December and the nighttime temperature only hovered around 7 or 8 degrees. The training still left everyone drenched in sweat. It felt great, Qi Meng said with a smile. Li Jiaheng gulped down water. What a relief. It's all just a bunch of masochists. The assessment is over, and we'll be getting our ranks tomorrow, while other classes are resting. We're still here panting away with physical training. It's like we're seriously ill or something. What? Are we not going to train anymore after we get our ranks tomorrow? Qin Feng chuckled and kicked him lightly with his foot. It's not like we're being discharged tomorrow. I agree. What Brother Feng said makes sense. Chen Sanchi, as Qin Feng's biggest fan, immediately raised his hand in support. The vice captain is indeed right. We can't always think of ways to slack off. Others are others, and we are us. That's true. Other classes don't have as many first class, second class, and third class merits or commendations. Hearing this, Li Jiaheng straightened his back immediately. His head swayed pridefully from side to side. That's right. Other classes aren't as awesome as ours. As the captain said, with greater ability comes greater responsibility. Since we're so amazing, it's only right to put in a bit more effort. Suddenly, the dormitory fell silent as if someone had pressed the mute button. Everyone seemed to have agreed beforehand, and no one spoke up. Some were wiping sweat. Some were drinking water, and others were stretching. After a full minute, Qi Meng broke the silence. Captain, are you really going to be discharged? Everyone turned their eyes to Qin Feng, waiting for his answer. Qin Feng said helplessly, in the last operation, the captain suffered serious damage to his motor nerves. And the doctor said the chances of recovery are slim. He doesn't want to hold back the unit, so he chose to leave. Actually, when I first came here, I really didn't like the captain. You all know, it was because I didn't like eating plain noodles. And he even made me try Indian food. But to be fair, he did help me overcome my picky eating habit, and later on, I found everything quite tasty. Hearing Li Jiaheng's words, everyone burst into laughter, unconsciously recalling the time when this guy was putting on airs, only to be forcefully reprimanded by the captain. It even led to the infamous midnight snack incident that became legendary. Qi Meng chimed in. When I first got here, I was quite arrogant, thinking that with my martial arts training, I could be invincible in the army. Later, the captain taught me a lesson, and thankfully, the vice captain stepped in to stop me. Otherwise, I would have definitely ended up in the hospital. Qin Feng smiled, and didn't he interrupt him. Actually, if I get the chance, I'd like to spar with the captain again. Even if I can't win. A draw would at least show that I've made progress, right? It's my turn. Qin Sanchi quickly took over the conversation. When I was at home, my dad often called me a lazy son, saying I would have a future only if I joined the army, and then he took me to enlist. Many people in our village signed up, but none of them were selected. Then, Qin Sanchi's story became long and tedious, much like an old woman's bound feet. It felt like it started from the beginning of time and the creation of the universe. Everyone was already tired, and they all began to doze off. Before long, Qi Ming's snoring filled the room. Then Li Jiaxing joined in with his own version. Soon, the dormitory was filled with the sound of snoring in unison. Even Qin Sanchi got tired of telling his story and collapsed in a heap. The night was deep, with only the moonlight quietly spilling onto the window. Qin Feng tiptoed out of bed, helping everyone adjust their blankets to prevent them from catching a chill. Qin Sanchi's blanket had slipped mostly to the floor, and he gently picked it up and carefully covered himself with it. The moonlight cast Qin Feng's shadow on the wall, stirring something within his heart. Back when he first enlisted, the squad leader had done the same for them. Unconsciously, he realized that his image was slowly overlapping with Zhao Pengfei's. Perhaps, this is what it means to teach by example. Perhaps, this is the passing of the torch. Qin Feng approached the window, looking at the night punctured by the streetlights. He stared blankly for quite a while, then pursed his lips and exhaled heavily through his nose. Squad leader, will you come to the rank ceremony tomorrow? Chapter 134. The regrettable rank ceremony in the late-night new recruit barracks. The daytime noise and training shouts had vanished. Only a tranquil atmosphere remained, bringing a deep sense of peace and satisfaction. The door to the 4th Squad dormitory was gently pushed open. Gu Xiong stepped into the dormitory, treading softly in the moonlight. As the commander of the new recruit company, it was his responsibility to check on the cadets. Though it was the last day, he still had to stand his final watch. The bed closest to the door was empty, with the blankets neatly folded and the pillow arranged properly. This was Zhao Pengfei's bed. Gu Xiong touched the bedboard and sighed helplessly. He wondered if this guy would show up for the rank ceremony tomorrow. As a squad leader, it would be a great regret not to personally award the ranks to his own soldiers and see them become real soldiers. He shook his head and walked over to the other beds, hoping to find an energetic kid kicking off their blanket or drawing maps in the middle of the night. However, after a round, he found that everyone in the 4th Squad was soundly asleep, all tucked in nicely. But the blankets were so perfectly arranged. It looked as if someone else had done it for them. Gu Xiong instinctively turned his gaze to Qin Feng's bed. No need to ask. It was definitely him who got up in the middle of the night to cover everyone with their blankets. Over the past few days, he had been attentive and responsible. And Gu Xiong had been watching closely. Almost every detail was managed by Qin Feng. Even the commands before meals were given by him alone. Even the instructor remarked that Qin Feng didn't seem like a new recruit at all. He was more like a qualified squad leader than many seasoned veterans. Gu Xiong smiled as he walked over, helping Qin Feng pull up the blanket before turning to leave the dormitory. Just as the door closed, Qin Feng opened his eyes. After that battle, he had developed an instinct to stay alert even while sleeping. No slightest sound could escape his ears. Qin Feng turned over and continued to sleep, as this position allowed him to sleep more soundly and comfortably. Is everything checked? Gu Xiong had just come out from the stairway when he ran into Bai Yuan, who was waiting downstairs. The dormitory inspection was usually done in pairs, mainly to improve efficiency. Gu Xiong took out a pack of cigarettes. Let us step aside for a smoke before heading back to sleep. The two walked to a bulletin board, lit a cigarette, and began to puff away in the night. Looking at the crescent moon, Bai Yuan couldn't help but sigh. These past 3 months have flown by, like a flash. It's almost over, and to be honest, I'm a bit reluctant to part ways. Old Gu, how would you rate our cooperation over these months? On a scale of 10, what score would you give me as your instructor? Gu Xiong took a drag from his cigarette before turning to him. 10. Oh, so high? Bai Yuan exclaimed in surprise. I thought you would give me a 5 or at most a 6, considering I often oppose you. Gu Xiong smiled. It's all for the job. You have your stance, and I have my responsibilities. Didn't you see how in Bright Sword Li Yunlong and Zhao Gang argued every day? Bai Yuan laughed. That analogy is quite apartment. Thank you, Captain Gu, for such a high evaluation. He placed his hands on his hips while smoking, continuing with his thoughts. To be honest, this batch of recruits is probably the best I've ever led. Whether it's their average scores or their attitudes towards internal affairs and daily training, they're all quite good. Gu Xiong nodded in agreement. The reason for this, after all, was that the 4th Squad set a good example, driving the entire recruit company to thrive together. That's the role of a leader. While smoking, they chatted for a while. After all, once the recruit company ended, their partnership would come to an end. The 402nd Regiment isn't too big or too small. But soldiers usually have limited activity ranges. Even within the same camp, It's not uncommon to not see each other for a year if there's no work overlap. Moreover, Bai Yuan worked in the regiment's headquarters and rarely came to the grassroots level. After finishing their cigarettes, the two prepared to head back to their dorms. Gu Zhiyong had just taken a couple of steps when Bai Yuan suddenly called out to him. "Old Gu, what is up?" Gu Zhiyong turned back. Noticing Bai Yuan's serious expression, "I want to ask you for a favor. Go ahead. Regardless of how things develop in the future, don't forget that the Border Defense Regiment is the first home of your steel knife company." "Yeah, I won't forget." Gu Zhiyong nodded firmly, and a smile appeared on Bai Yuan's face. What he didn't know was that soon the steel knife would heavily strike the Border Defense Regiment. The next morning, there was no morning exercise. The new recruits had breakfast and returned to their dormitories. One by one, they polished their shoes and styled their hair. Li Jiaxing put on his military uniform, and his little shoes were polished to a shine. Holding a common pink mirror from a 2-yuan shop, he kept admiring himself. So handsome, so cool. Beside him, Qi Ming was polishing his shoes and found Li Jiaxing's showy appearance quite amusing. "You look like you're going on a blind date. You've been checking yourself out for over 10 minutes. What do you know? The rank ceremony is very important. This is a very solemn day. We're about to shed the title of recruits and become glorious soldiers." "When, brother, is a soldier still considered a recruit?" Chen Sanchi curiously looked at Qin Feng, who was changing clothes nearby. Qin Feng smiled at him. "As long as we haven't waited for the next batch of recruits to arrive, in the eyes of the veterans, we are still considered recruits." "Really? Is it like that?" Li Jiaxing's face immediately fell upon hearing this. He thought that after 3 months of being a recruit, he would finally be recognized. It turns out they still have to wait for the next batch of recruits? What a disappointment. Beep. The assembly whistle blew from downstairs. Qin Feng immediately organized everyone to line up at the door. Stepping in unison, he quickly led everyone downstairs to assemble. "Soon, we will head to the regiment's playground to hold the rank ceremony for everyone. Everyone, right turn march." Gu Zhiyong didn't waste any words and directly led the team to the regiment's playground. The playground was vast, at least twice the size of the new recruits area. Red flags were planted all around, fluttering in the wind as if welcoming their arrival. In front was a viewing platform with a long table set up. Regiment Commander Qiu Guohai and Political Commissar Ji Mingyuan sat in the center. Beside them was the smiling Chief of Staff Sun Quan. The other unfamiliar faces were likely the regiment's leadership. A bright red banner was hung below the viewing platform. Reading, 402 Border Defense Regiment 14th Annual New Recruits Rank Ceremony and Enlistment Oath. The new recruits gradually gathered on the playground, their emotions running high. After over 3 months of hardship, they had been waiting for this day. The so-called recruit training was merely an adaptation period, helping individuals transition from civilian life to military life. Only by truly wearing their ranks could they be considered accepted by the military and become real soldiers. The new recruits looked forward eagerly, their eyes shining with excitement. However, at that moment, Qin Feng was scanning the crowd, searching for someone. But by the time they were assembled, he still hadn't seen that figure. Did they not come? Qin Feng felt a bit disappointed. Attention. At ease. After organizing the lineup, Gu Zhiyong ran to salute at the viewing platform. Report to the commander, there should be 105 recruits in the new soldier team. But only 104 are present, with one still in the hospital for recovery. Please give your instructions. Qiu Guohai returned a greeting and then picked up the microphone to start speaking. His speech mainly consisted of encouragement and praise, as well as motivating everyone to improve. However, Qin Feng was in a daze and didn't absorb a single word. The awards ceremony was about to begin, yet he still hadn't seen Zhao Pengfei. Just when Qin Feng was disappointed, thinking that the squad leader definitely wouldn't come, a vehicle slowly approached from a distance. Chapter 135, My Soldiers Must Be Awarded by Me. Hello, Commander. I am Zhu Huihui from the Thunder Leopard Special Forces. The car door opened, and Zhu Huihui stepped out, politely saluting the commander and others. Hearing that she was from the Thunder Leopard unit, Qiu Guohai was taken aback. He immediately inquired about Zhu Huihui's purpose for coming. Zhu Huihui smiled and said, "I was ordered to bring someone over." With that, she went to the back seat of the car and opened the rear door. A metallic crutch fell to the ground first, followed by a man in military uniform who got out of the car with Zhu Huihui's assistance. Seeing the person getting out of the car, Gu Zhiyong's eyes lit up. He really came. Report to the commander. The class leader of the new recruit team, Zhao Pengfei, is applying to return to duty. Seeing Zhao Pengfei, who was walking towards the stands with a crutch, Qiu Guohai was also puzzled. What is going on here? Although he was unsure of the situation, he immediately signaled for Zhao Pengfei to return to duty. Zhao Pengfei, leaning on his crutch, walked towards the team under everyone's watchful eyes. The entire Class 4 was extremely excited to see their class leader back. The award ceremony was a beginning for their military careers, symbolizing their complete transformation from social youth to soldiers. It would be a regret if their old class leader didn't personally award them. After more than 3 months of companionship, Having gone through so many ups and downs together, Zhao Pengfei had proven what it meant to be a mother figure in the military. Everyone in class felt like his children. Therefore, at such an important moment, they naturally hoped their class leader would be present. Moreover, other classes had their leaders helping with the awards. It would seem too pitiful if they didn't have one. At that moment, two gazes met from a distance. Qin Feng smiled, as if to say, I knew you would come. Zhao Pengfei also slightly raised the corners of his mouth. My soldiers. It must be me who personally awards them. Meanwhile, Gu Xiong was completely confused. He turned to Zhu Huihui beside him, filled with questions. Don't thank me. It was our squad leader who asked me to bring him here. Your squad leader? Yuan Feng. Yes. We can discuss the details later. Let us focus on the current matter. Gu Xiong didn't say anything more, but was still filled with gratitude. Initially, he thought Yuan Feng wanted to poach someone. But unexpectedly, that guy was much more thoughtful than most people. He even thought to have Zhu Huihui pick someone up from the hospital and bring them here. As the class leader of the 4th squad, Zhao Pengfei's presence brought immense psychological encouragement to Qin Feng and others, compensating for the regrets of all the new recruits in the 4th squad. The new recruit commissioning ceremony was not interrupted by Zhu Huihui's arrival. After the opening remarks, it proceeded directly to the next item, the national anthem. Everyone present stood up, solemnly facing the flag. Following the stirring music from the speaker, everyone sang the national anthem together. After the anthem, Qiu Guohai began to read the commissioning orders. I announce that the 402 Border Defense Regiment's 2014 new recruit commissioning and enlistment oath ceremony officially begins. Next, please have the class leaders put the military insignia on the new recruits. The class leaders felt a bond with the recruits they had spent 3 months with. Watching these young men transform from blank slates into capable soldiers, the leaders smiled, filled with a sense of accomplishment. The happiest among them were the recruits who had endured 3 months of training. Although they had not yet distinguished themselves, this insignia was still their honor. From this moment on, they were no longer recruits, but proud soldiers. Zhao Pengfei approached Qin Feng and seriously helped him put on the insignia. Seeing the insignia on his shoulder, Qin Feng grinned. Class leader, I thought you weren't coming. If I don't come, who will guide you to your unit? Zhao Pengfei glanced at him and smiled lightly. Hearing this, Qin Feng was overjoyed. Class leader, you're not leaving? Just not for now. Zhao Pengfei made a shushing gesture, indicating they would talk later. He then adjusted Qin Feng's collar and sleeves. Looking at the handsome and upright Qin Feng, Zhao Pengfei felt immense pride. He knew that from the moment the insignia was on, Qin Feng's life would no longer be ordinary. The new recruit company was merely a transitional phase. With the insignia, Qin Feng could truly spread his wings and soar. Perhaps soon, the insignia on Qin Feng's shoulder would change to lieutenant, captain, major, or even lieutenant colonel. But regardless of how Qin Feng's rank and position might change, or how far he could go in the future, Zhao Pengfei would always be his first guide and the first person to put the insignia on him. For Zhao Pengfei, that was enough to make him proud. Soon, all the new recruits donned their soldier insignia. Each person stood tall, their faces filled with pride, because from this moment on, they were truly soldiers of their nation. Now, everyone, please join me in reciting the enlistment oath. Qiu Guohai looked at all the new recruits, raised his right fist, and said loudly, I am a soldier of the People's Liberation Army, I swear. In unison, all the new recruits raised their right fists. Qin Feng solemnly looked at the sacred military flag emblazoned with the characters for August 1st. I am a soldier of the People's Liberation Army, I swear. As Qin Feng shouted these words from his throat, goosebumps arose on his arms. A surge of passion boiled within his chest, like raging waves. Obey the leadership of the motherland and serve the people wholeheartedly. Follow orders, strictly adhere to discipline, be brave and tenacious, and fear no sacrifice. Practice combat skills diligently. Be ready to fight at all times, and never betray the army. Swear to defend the motherland. Swear to defend the motherland. Swear to defend the motherland. The shouts echoed through the skies, and everyone turned red in the face. They unleashed the loudest voices of their lives. The military flag fluttered in the air, making the sound of a tiger's roar and a dragon's chant. The brilliance shone upon the vibrant military flag, and the light of faith was passed on at this moment. From this moment on, they officially became qualified soldiers, dedicating their youth and blood selflessly to the motherland and the people. Chapter 136. Such an outstanding soldier. You want him to be a clerk? Commander, let him come to our 2nd company. Commander, place him in our 5th company. Commander, our Steel 8 company needs him more. Let him come here. The command office was in chaos, resembling a bustling market. All 12 company commanders crowded around the desk, some offering cigarettes, others pouring tea. 2 had even crawled under the desk, taking off Qiu Guohai's shoes and preparing to give him a foot massage. Enough, enough. Qiu Guohai slammed his hands on the desk, temporarily silencing the room. He pointed at the 2 beneath the desk and ordered them to get out quickly. Frustrated, he scolded the crowd. Look at what you've become. Whereas the demeanor of a company commander. Even an elderly woman fighting for eggs at a supermarket is more composed than you. Is it really necessary to cause such a commotion over a new recruit? Blocking my office and giving me a foot massage. Are you even fit for this? Commander, this isn't about necessity. With first-class merit, second-class merit, and the title of People's Guardian, this isn't just a new recruit. He's practically a treasure. The second company commander had a look of eager anticipation. Our company is in need of a cornerstone. If you place Qin Feng in our company, I will dedicate myself to nurturing him. Why should he go to your second company? He should be in our 9th company. Nonsense. He should join our artillery 11th company. A man should fire artillery every day. Send him to the 7th company, the 3rd company, the 1st company. The office once again erupted into chaos. The 12 company commanders argued fiercely over Qin Feng, some even rolling up their sleeves, ready to settle it in the office. They debated who would get him if they won. Although the scene seemed absurd, this was the nature of the military. When commanders spotted talent, they fought over it like wolves over meat. While there had been outstanding recruits in the past, none compared to the prodigy that was Qin Feng. Previous excellent recruits were often those who excelled in assessments or were adept in interpersonal skills. However, these were merely the basic attributes of Qin Feng. In just 3 months, the new recruit battalion had achieved 2 major accomplishments, along with an impressive title. It could be said that wherever Qin Feng went, that unit would instantly shine. The position of the company commander and the company itself will rise with the tide. If we could bring Qin Feng here, who would dare to challenge us? Does your company have any first-class achievements? No? Then go stand aside. Does your company have the title of People's Guardian? No? How dare you speak so loudly without it? Of course, it's not just about honor and face. Wherever Qin Feng goes, achievements follow. The performance of any company he joins will surely improve. Which commander wouldn't want to climb higher? Who would complain about having fewer merits? Moreover, during the ceremony at the regiment's auditorium, Qin Feng requested an award for the squad leader in front of the commander and got a verbal commendation for Commander Gujio. That impressive scene is still fresh in their minds. They were thinking, how great would it be if he were our soldier? Now they finally have the chance to compete for him. Therefore, whether for the collective, personal reasons, or future development, they must get Qin Feng. Bang! Qiu Guohai slammed the table again. He was like a powder keg, exploding with anger at everyone. Get out, all of you get out. Do you think this is a market? I'll count to 3, and whoever is still standing here will face disciplinary action. 1. It was clear to everyone that the commander was truly furious. So they had no choice but to leave in a hurry, looking dejected. Once everyone had left, the office fell silent again. Qiu Guohai's nearly explosive mind finally calmed down. He sat down heavily in his chair and lit a cigarette. Just as he took a couple of puffs, the door was pushed open. Qiu Guohai thought it was those guys returning and was so angry that he grabbed the ashtray to throw it. Old Qiu, what's with your look? A cigarette ashtray model? Chief of Staff Sun Quan entered and was immediately taken aback. He saw Qiu Guohai with one foot on the stool, a cigarette in hand, glaring with wide eyes and holding an ashtray. He looked just like an angry deity. Qiu Guohai put down the ashtray and rolled his eyes in annoyance. It's all those bastards who got me worked up. They're supposed to be company commanders, yet they almost started fighting in my office. Can you believe it? All for trying to snatch Qin Feng? What else could it be? Sun Quan, smiling, casually took a cigarette from his pack. He understood, wherever Qin Feng goes, his achievements would go to that company, so it would be strange if they didn't try to grab him. Qiu Guohai moved the cigarette closer and looked at him warily. What are you here for? Don't tell me you want to recruit him too? Sun Quan laughed heartily. I originally intended to, but seeing this situation, I think I'll pass. You wouldn't give him to me anyway. Smart move, but I'm a bit curious. Where do you plan to place Qin Feng? The company assignments are tomorrow, and you still haven't decided? Hee, I've already thought it through. Qiu Guohai flicked the ash. Smiling. I plan to have this kid work as a clerk. A clerk? You want such an outstanding soldier to be a clerk? The chief of staff's eyes twitched. Is it you who's unwell, or are you truly unwell? In chapter 137, what's yours is mine. Even you are my soldier. Seeing the chief of staff remain silent, Qiu Guohai glanced at him. What's the matter, any issues? Actually, there is not much of a problem, Sun Quan replied with a wry smile, puzzled. Isn't it a bit of a waste to have him do clerical work? Qiu Guohai nodded and explained, it is indeed a bit of a waste. But he's currently riding high, and I'm worried he might get carried away with his recent honors. It's not good for young people to have everything go smoothly at the beginning. I want to temper his character a bit. Once he's more seasoned, we can consider how to cultivate him further. Sun Quan internally disagreed with this arrangement. Although he didn't have much contact with Qin Feng, he could see that the kid was quite steady. If he were to get carried away, he would have done so long ago. Qiu Guohai, as the regiment leader, surely understood this too. Sun Quan chuckled to himself, realizing that this old fellow wanted to keep Qin Feng close for personal cultivation. On one hand, he could expose him to the world, and on the other, he could build a mentor-student relationship. Clever move, Qiu Guohai was grooming Qin Feng as a successor. No wonder he had worn himself out trying to get someone. Sun Quan brought up, by the way, what do you think about that girl named Zhu, who drove Zhao Pingfei here? I don't know. Qiu Guohai shook his head. It could be a gesture of goodwill, or it might just be a favor. Either way, it's not bad for us. Sun Quan nodded, not wanting to linger on such trivial matters. He turned to glance at the door and lowered his voice. Chief, have you heard about the Steel Knife Company? You mean the brigade commander is planning to use the Steel Knife Company to train our border defense regiment? Yes. It could be a bit tricky. Qiu Guohai sighed, feeling somewhat helpless. Sun Quan showed a worried expression. I thought it would just be a simple separation. I didn't expect the brigade commander to be playing such a big game. But isn't this a bit extreme? It's like asking us to fight amongst ourselves. Yeah. Qiu Guohai sighed again, feeling resigned. The brigade commander has talked to me a few times, saying our border defense regiment is too weak and needs strengthening. But every time, the quality of the troops he provides is too poor, and the funding is too little. I feel powerless. This time, he plans to take direct action to help us reorganize, which is also a warning for us. Sun Quan voiced his concern. What if we lose this battle? What will happen then? Qiu Guohai shook his head. This isn't something we can worry about now. The brigade commander has his own plans. His purpose in doing this is to help our border defense regiment shake off the label of being the weakest, as long as it can enhance our overall strength. Even if it means fighting among ourselves, even if it requires drastic measures, even if it costs many people, we must resolutely obey orders and cooperate with the higher-ups. Sun Quan hummed in agreement. It is understandable for soldiers to obey orders as their duty. However, the sudden decision from the commander was indeed a bit harsh. At that moment, the phone on the table rang. Qiu Guohai quickly picked it up. Commander, this is Qiu Guohai. Okay, what? You have arrangements? Let him go to the Steel Knife Company? Qiu Guohai instantly stood up from his chair, his tone becoming somewhat agitated. Commander, you can't do this. Qin Feng is a new recruit in our border defense regiment. How can you? What's yours is yours, even you are my soldier. On the other end of the line, Commander Lu Chong spoke with an authoritative tone that brooked no disagreement. Qiu Guohai wanted to make one last effort. Commander, I understand military orders are absolute. But shouldn't you consult the opinion of the person involved? Qin Feng has a strong sense of belonging to our regiment. He often visits the honor room to admire the glory of his predecessors. If you forcibly transfer him, it will not only hurt his self-esteem, but could also leave him disheartened. Commander, you wouldn't want to see a good soldier become mediocre because of this, right? Lu Chong fell silent for a moment, realizing he hadn't considered this point, and his tone softened slightly. What you said does make some sense. How about this? I'll come over myself tomorrow morning. Yes, I'll wait for you at the new recruit company. After hanging up the phone, Qiu Guohai wiped the sweat from his forehead and breathed a sigh of relief. Sun Quan furrowed his brows and asked, what's going on with the commander? Why does he suddenly want to take someone away? Wasn't he supposed to promise us? Qiu Guohai waved his hand. I don't know what went wrong. He just changed his mind. Seeing him grab his hat and rush out, Sun Quan quickly stood up and asked, where are you going? To the new recruit company. I need to have a serious talk with Qin Feng. Wait for me. I'll go with you. Chapter 138. Being hated by others is also a skill. Half an hour later, Qin Feng was once again brought into the honor room of the regiment. Qiu Guohai and Chief of Staff Sun Quan were standing in front of a wall discussing something. Hearing footsteps, the two slowly turned around. Seeing such a familiar opening scene, Qin Feng felt a bit exasperated. He thought, can't you guys be a bit more creative? At least change the location a bit? Qiu Guohai, with a serious expression, spoke. Qin Feng, looking at these predecessors, what are your thoughts? Qin Feng's eyelids twitched, and he sincerely expressed that he felt inspired and moved, determined to serve the country like the predecessors. Hearing this nearly perfect standard answer, Qiu Guohai glanced at Sun Quan. The two nodded subtly, somewhat satisfied. Then, Qiu Guohai introduced a few heroic histories in detail. Finally, he pulled Qin Feng aside to get to the main point. Qin Feng, now that the promotion ceremony is over, you are a true soldier of the nation. A soldier must not only have patriotism, but also a sense of belonging. You are smart and wise. You should understand what I mean, right? Qin Feng nodded and said, Commander, I will always remember that I was once a member of the 402nd Regiment. Qiu Guohai responded with a sound of acknowledgement, revealing a pleased smile. The youth can be taught. As long as Qin Feng expresses a strong sense of belonging to the Border Defense Regiment tomorrow, even the commander wouldn't dare to intervene. Wait a minute. Sun Quan suddenly reacted, frowning at Qin Feng. Can you repeat what you just said? I will always remember that I was once a member of the Border Defense Regiment. Once? Qiu Guohai finally caught on. What do you mean by once? Qin Feng said awkwardly, Commander, I want to follow our company commander to the Steel Blade Company. Hearing this, Qiu Guohai felt like his scalp was about to split. Didn't you just tell me you were deeply shocked and full of passion? Qin Feng honestly nodded. Yes. But those two things aren't contradictory, right? Come on, Commander, do you remember you promised me a condition? Before Qiu Guohai could finish speaking, Qin Feng interrupted him. Qiu Guohai's expression changed as he suddenly realized something, disbelief filling his eyes. You can't be. Yes. My condition is to let me go to the Steel Blade Company. Qiu Guohai's face instantly turned ugly. Good heavens, you've been waiting for me here? No wonder you agreed so readily to help with the interrogation at the police station. Sun Quan immediately shot him a questioning look. What did you promise him? I didn't promise anything. No, I didn't agree to anything. Qin Feng had long anticipated Qiu Guohai's unreasonable behavior. He pulled out his Nokia phone from his pocket and played the recording. Commander, don't tell me you won't honor your word. Ha ha ha, how could I? As a dignified colonel, I wouldn't deceive you, a new recruit. A gentleman's word is his bond. Hearing the recording, Qiu Guohai looked as if he had eaten a dead fly, nearly cursing in anger. That scoundrel, digging a pit for me. Not only digging a pit, but he even recorded it? Who taught him to do this as a new recruit, daring to fool the commander? This is simply outrageous. Sun Quan was also left speechless. Qin Feng's cunning exceeded his imagination. As a new recruit, he dared to set a trap for the commander. If he becomes an officer later, promoted to captain or major, wouldn't he be able to ride roughshod over the brigade commander and commander? Xiao Qin, it's not the chief of staff saying this, but you've gone a bit too far. After all, this is your commander. How could you secretly record him? Also, how could a new recruit have a phone on him? That's against the rules, you know? Qin Feng put the phone back in his pocket, smiling sheepishly. I got the phone when I was hospitalized. And no one asked for it back, so I just kept it with me. Commander, in front of so many martyrs in the regiment, you wouldn't deny it, right? Qiu Guohai was so furious he felt like his lungs were about to explode. This statement essentially put him in a corner. Without evidence, he could still deny it. However, now that the recording has been brought out in front of so many heroes, how could he dare to deny it? As long as Qiu Guohai dares to act inconsistently and tarnish the reputation of the soldiers and the regiment, these martyrs would come to slap him in his dreams at night. But right now, Qiu Guohai really wants to give Sun Quan a couple of slaps. Originally, he suggested going directly to the new recruit company, but this old guy said it would be better to call Qin Feng over for a discussion. Now he finds himself in a difficult position. What can he do? Feeling the commander's angry yet resentful gaze, Sun Quan coughed to mask his embarrassment. He then turned to Qin Feng and said earnestly, Qin Feng, a revolutionary soldier is like a brick. Wherever it's needed, it should be moved. Our regiment currently needs you very much. Even if you don't consider us, you should think about your own future. Commander, I have already thought it through clearly. Qin Feng replied. Chapter 139. Are you ready to face the wind and waves? Ha 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 ha. In the office of the company, Gu Jiong put his arm around Qin Feng's shoulder, nearly laughing to the point of tears. He pointed at Qin Feng, trying to say something twice, but was drowned out by laughter from his throat. Good kid, impressive. You even dared to record the commander. Amazing, truly amazing. Qin Feng scratched his nose, unsure of what to say. After a brief pause, Gu Jiong rubbed his face to avoid cramping. Qin Feng, don't take what the commander and the others said too seriously. Some things, he actually doesn't know the inside story. Right now, other matters have nothing to do with you. Just focus on studying your professional knowledge and work on improving yourself. Qin Feng nodded. He was indeed thinking along those lines. Whether it was the matters of the Steel Knife Company or the current situation of the Border Defense Regiment, they were not something a new recruit like him could intervene in. These were the results of discussions and decisions made by the higher-ups. Currently, he was just a soldier, and a new one at that. So, he should just focus on doing what he was supposed to do. Everything else was unimportant. Gu Jiong could naturally see Qin Feng's intention. Qin Feng, the road ahead might not be the most suitable for you, but it will definitely be the one you enjoy the most. Are you ready to join us in facing the wind and waves and overcoming obstacles? Always ready. Qin Feng stood at attention and shouted. Come on, let me toast to you. It's my turn now. You toast to me too. Hello, Commander Li. Hello, Commander Qi. Hello. Squad Leader Chen. How did I become a squad leader? I also want to be a commander. Let us do it again. In the dormitory of the 4th Squad, the new recruits were laughing and having a blast. One moment, they were saluting each other, and the next they were returning the salutes. Like a bunch of happy little huskies. Zhao Pengfei sat quietly by the bed, watching with a smile on his face. After so many years of military service, he was most proud not of the awards and recognition he received, but of seeing the new recruits he personally trained transform from social youth into soldiers. It was this sense of achievement, along with the mission and responsibility of being a veteran squad leader, that pushed him to move forward step by step. 3 months in the recruit company passed in the blink of an eye. At this moment, his mission has come to a conclusion. Come on, everyone. Let's salute the squad leader. Li Jiaxing suggested, and everyone smiled as they saluted Zhao Pengfei, shouting, Hello, leader. Hello, leader. In the military, non-commissioned officers are respectfully addressed as squad leaders. Usually, only officers at the level of company commander and above can be referred to as leaders. This way of addressing is partly playful and partly a sign of respect and good wishes for the squad leader. Zhao Pengfei stood up with a smile and returned their salute. You little rascals, it wasn't in vain that I put in the effort. You've finally become somewhat like soldiers. Everyone was genuinely happy to receive the squad leader's recognition and praise. Many new recruits actually have a misconception. They think that to develop well in the military, they must socialize upwards and build good relationships with the platoon leader, company commander, or even the regiment commander. However, they do not realize that throughout your long military career, it is the squad leader who accompanies you the longest and cares for you the most. Therefore, many veterans, after retiring, often remember their old squad leaders the most fondly. Zhao Pengfei smiled with satisfaction. From this moment on, you are all true soldiers of the Yin Nation, and you must hold yourselves to strict standards at all times. Don't think that finishing the recruit company means you can fly free. Joining the company is the real beginning of your military career. If you're just planning to serve for 2 years and then go home, that's another story. But if you want to stay, pursue further education, or get promoted, you need to make the most of the next couple of years. Those who can learn skills must study them diligently. If you don't use your brain while serving, you'll end up like your squad leader, just a regular soldier. Squad leader, you can't say that. In our hearts, you're the best. Everyone laughed and crowded around him. Yes, take the previous staff officer Su, who is still a captain. He probably couldn't last a round against you. Right, in our hearts. The squad leader is truly the king of soldiers, even more so than any warrior. Looking at the lively faces around him, Zhao Pengfei's smile grew even broader. It didn't matter how others viewed him, as long as these kids thought he was great, that was enough. People can never please everyone, just like he had been pursuing a promotion, but now it seemed that even without it, life was still pretty good. Sometimes, don't push yourself too hard. And don't live so exhaustingly. Lower your expectations a bit, and your mood and state will improve. The assistant squad leader is here. The assistant squad leader is here. Come on, let us salute the assistant squad leader too. Qin Feng had just walked in from outside, and Li Jiaxing and the others immediately saluted him. They shouted various greetings, some saying hello, Commander Qin, while others shouted hello, first-class meritorious service. Qin Feng was also amused by them, returning their salutes while saying, hello, everyone. All good. Lively laughter echoed from the dormitories of each squad. At present, not only are there 4 classes, but all the new recruits are like birds released from their cages. Chapter 140. Parting is for a better reunion. Let's get excited. You are my little apple. No matter how much I love you, it's never too much in the evening. The cafeteria is filled with lively chaos. With loudspeakers, microphones, and a simple karaoke setup, the atmosphere is vibrant. 2 new recruits are passionately singing this year's hottest hit, Little Apple. This song, with its upbeat rhythm and catchy lyrics, has become a staple in square dancing for a long time. Amid the noisy singing, the crisp sound of clinking bottles fills the air, and the entire cafeteria is alive with laughter and joy. Since they will be assigned to their units tomorrow morning, today's farewell banquet is particularly lavish. Not only is beer flowing freely, but there are also many delicious dishes that are usually hard to come by, such as braised beef tendons, grilled lamb chops, fried prawns, and garlic oysters. Come on, let us raise our glasses and toast to our beloved squad leader, thanking him for his hard work over the past 3 months. Li Jiejun, acting as the social coordinator, suggested with a tone reminiscent of his parents at banquets. Yes, let us toast to the squad leader. The squad leader has worked hard. The sound of clinking bottles echoed. The older guys didn't even use glasses, drinking straight from the bottles. After taking a big swig, everyone laughed heartily and wiped their mouths. Let me say something. Zhao Pengfei raised his bottle. Next, we should toast to Qin Feng. Yes. We should toast to the vice squad leader. Squad leader? You don't know, the vice squad leader has worked so hard these days. Not only training us, but also helping us with our blankets at night. Squad leader, it's good you're back. Otherwise we would think the vice squad leader was planning a coup. Ha, you guys. Everyone laughed as Qin Feng joined in, taking a big gulp as well. Alright, don't just drink, eat some food too. Zhao Pengfei urged everyone to eat more and not just focus on drinking. Drinking too much beer will make you bloated. It's important to eat well. We're all in this together, so no one is being polite. For dishes that are out of reach, some simply stand up and grab with their hands. It's the last day, so no one is worried about discipline. This farewell banquet is all about relaxation and enjoyment, marking a perfect conclusion to the new recruits training. After the Little Apple was sung by Class 3, it's our turn. Who wants to go up and sing a couple of songs? I'll go. I'm the karaoke king outside. Li Jiejun volunteered and stood up. He is quite adept at livening up the atmosphere. After all, he has the title of the nightclub prince outside. But he didn't go up alone. He pulled Qi Ming along with him. Watching Li Jiejun and Qi Ming huddled together selecting songs from the karaoke setup, everyone speculated whether they were planning to perform a duet. Here they come. Li Jiejun pointed to the sky with one hand and to the ground with the other, striking a very showy pose. A song titled Friends Wine is dedicated to everyone. wishing all comrades a bright future and great achievements. After that, he and Qi Ming started to sing while keeping the rhythm. Yesterday is gone and won't return. Oh yeah, happiness is priceless. Come on, friends who can sing, let's join together. Fill the cups and let's toast to the good friends. May this night be filled with joy. The two on stage sang passionately and engaged with the audience below. Li Jiaxing occasionally picked a lucky audience member and passed the microphone. Soon, the atmosphere in the venue was completely energized. As a popular karaoke song, Friends Wine is widely sung and fits the camaraderie theme perfectly. Those who could sing joined in, while those who couldn't hummed along. Even Ge Zhiyong and Bai Yuan were hugging each other and waving excitedly. Qin Feng sat below, clapping and keeping the rhythm, perfectly acting as the atmosphere booster. I must say, Li Jiaxing is quite skilled at creating a lively environment. He clearly frequents bars and might even have a VIP card. At that moment, Zhao Pengfei patted Qin Feng twice and walked out of the cafeteria. Qin Feng glanced back and immediately followed. Once outside, he casually closed the cafeteria door. The noise and chatter were instantly cut off, creating a sudden silence that felt a bit disorienting. With a snap, Zhao Pengfei lit a cigarette, watching him enjoy the smoke. Qin Feng frowned. Did the doctor allow you to smoke? The doctor didn't say I couldn't. Zhao Pengfei replied with a grin. Qin Feng felt he couldn't argue, especially since he just had some beer. A couple of puffs wouldn't hurt. I appreciate you being here during my absence. Squad leader, you've said that before. Then I'll say it again. Zhao Pengfei reflected. Last night, Yuan's team from the Thunder Leopard sought me out, and we talked a lot. Qin Feng's eyes widened in surprise, but he remained silent. Zhao Pengfei continued casually. He shared many things with me and mentioned someone he knew who had been in a similar situation as mine. Eventually, that person stayed on and recovered, becoming a squad leader in the Special Operations Unit. Qin Feng realized that the person Yuan Feng referred to was himself. Perhaps due to their similar experiences or the bond between soldiers, Yuan Feng took the initiative to visit the hospital, using his experience to encourage Zhao Pengfei to rejoin the unit. Qin Feng felt grateful towards Yuan Feng for not only saving his life, but also redeeming Zhao Pengfei, leaving behind such a good squad leader for the unit. Next time, he must thank him in person. Buy 50 packs of white rabbit candy. And Yuan Feng might lose all his teeth, he joked. Qin Feng, I want to ask you for a favor. Sure, what is it? After finishing the last puff, Zhao Pengfei said seriously, I want you to supervise my rehabilitation training during your spare time. Qin Feng pointed at himself with some confusion. Me? Supervise you? Yes. Zhao Pengfei nodded. People tend to be lazy. If there's no one to supervise, thoughts will definitely slack off. Right now, I need someone to oversee me so I can speed up my recovery. At this moment, both the Steel Knife Company and the Border Defense Regiment need manpower. Seeing the determination in Zhao Pengfei's eyes, Qin Feng suddenly smiled. What are you laughing at? Squad leader, I think we are kindred spirits. Huh. I always thought it was you who chose me, but now I realize it's actually the three of us. Me, you, and the company commander, who are mutually attracted. Qin Feng grinned. We're all hot-tempered and enjoy doing challenging things. Zhao Pengfei chuckled. It indeed seemed to be the case. At that moment, Qin Feng extended his fist towards the squad leader. Zhao Pengfei smiled knowingly and bumped his fist against Qin Feng's. As their fists collided, their roles seemed to have switched. In the past, I trained you. But now, it's your turn to help me train. Under the night sky, the two chatted casually for a while about life, training, and some arrangements for after they were assigned to their units. However, when they finished chatting and returned to the cafeteria, they were completely taken aback. At the front, Li Jiaxing, Qi Ming, and Chen Sanqi were dancing the Little Swan with Ge Zhiyong and Bai Yuan, arms around each other's shoulders, accompanied by lively music. The group swayed left and right. Some new recruits whistled, some clapped on the tables, and others even joined in the fun. In the lively atmosphere, there was no distinction between new recruits and veterans, nor were there any superiors present. All that existed was a group of young men with dreams, far from home, dedicated to serving their country. They shared a common name, soldiers of the nation. Around 9 o'clock, after the commotion in the cafeteria subsided, only remnants of food and empty bottles were left on the tables. The cooking team was diligently cleaning up the mess with brooms and cloths. All the new recruits had returned to their dorms, washed up, and gotten into bed, ready to wait for lights out. Many in the 4th squad were as flushed as if they were in a heated debate. Some, unable to handle their drink, were hunched over a basin. Li Jiaxing and Qi Ming had such a great time that their faces were cramping from laughter. The two lay sprawled on their beds, chatting cheerfully and casually. Hey, old Qi, what do you think I'll be assigned to? You? I think you'd fit well in the entertainment troupe. You love to sing and dance, haha? Get lost. I say you have the strength to work in logistics, feeding pigs, and shoveling manure. Li Jiaxing, feeling a bit dizzy, gazed at the bed above him and remarked. If only I could go to the Sharpshooter 4th Company. The new recruits only get 5 bullets in total, and that's just not enough for a good time. I joined the army for that one magazine, for the thrill of firing. Others seemed to have opened up as well, sharing their desired units and positions. Some expressed a wish to drive tanks, while others wanted to learn how to operate vehicles. Some are interested in artillery, saying that such thick and large barrels represent the ultimate romance for men. One of them wants to join a mechanized infantry company, saying he has loved riding motorcycles since he was young. Qin Feng laughed heartily. I wish you success. Not only will you get to ride motorcycles, but you'll also be able to run with them. Hee hee, class deputy, I'll take your good wishes. Although smartphones became popular in 2014, information did not explode in abundance. Therefore, many people are unaware that a mechanized infantry company does not mean fighting while riding motorcycles. Instead, it requires the soldiers in that unit to run as fast as motorcycles. Qin Feng didn't want to shatter that kid's beautiful fantasy. He thought that when he actually gets assigned there, he would understand for himself. Do you think we'll see each other after we move to our companies? At this moment, Chen Sanchi suddenly voiced his doubts. This single question immediately halted the previously joyful atmosphere. The dormitory was lit, but it suddenly fell silent. Everyone seemed to have agreed in advance, all sinking into silence. 3 months really passed in the blink of an eye. Everyone actually knew that there would come a day like this, and that the bond in the recruit company was just a fleeting encounter. However, despite having mentally prepared, when the time of separation approached, everyone felt a deep sadness and reluctance. Why has time passed so quickly? Li Jiaxing buried his head in the blanket. But the voice that came out turned into a sob. The few new recruits who had been the noisiest during dinner were the first to cry. Even Qi Meng, the tough guy, had tears welling up in his eyes, turning into small pearls rolling down. Because everyone knew that after they separated tomorrow, it would be very hard to see each other again. Although they were in the same regiment, each company was not adjacent. Those who have watched Soldier Assault should remember this well. Su Sandua was assigned to the Red Company, Grassland Class 5, and the vehicle had to drive a long distance. Every time he wanted to return to the regiment, he could only walk a long way or hitch a ride on a tractor from a fellow villager. Just the thought of not being able to see each other again made everyone feel extremely pained. The noise and joy they had in the cafeteria now brought an even stronger backlash. For the sake of a moving red flag, they outsmarted and battled with other classes. To win the 3-kilometer race, everyone worked together to help Qin Feng complete the encirclement strategy. They even all shaved their heads after hearing about Qin Feng's burns. When danger arose, the class leader and Qin Feng would step forward, risking their lives to divert the enemy and give them a chance to escape. This kind of camaraderie, once they leave the recruit company, might never be found again in their lives. They were not just brothers, they were comrades with a bond stronger than life. In this world, there are no banquets that do not end. Zhao Pingfei comforted, my former class leader once told me, every separation is for a better reunion. As long as everyone works hard and keeps moving forward, we will eventually meet at some point. That night, Zhao Pingfei spoke a lot and very profoundly. Everyone understands in their hearts and wants to control themselves as much as possible, but they forget that humans are emotional beings. More often than not, the mind cannot dictate emotions. In fact, it's not just the 4th squad. Many new recruits from other squads are also crying. No matter how strict the squad leaders are or how much they put them through, when the time comes to part ways, everyone feels reluctant to say goodbye. The moon tonight is full, and the night is beautiful, but many people are sleepless. They want time to slow down, hoping that if they keep their eyes open, maybe the day won't come, and they won't have to leave. Chapter 141. Do you have confidence to win the battle? Li Jiaxing, present. Qi Meng, present. Xie Bin, present. At 8 a.m. the next day, the troop assignment was in full swing. Several vehicles were parked in the open area, including buses, troop transport trucks, and a military jeep. The new recruits whose names were called grabbed their bags and headed to different vehicles. Unlike when they first arrived in the new recruit company, they would soon be going their separate ways. The number of people in the line dwindled, but Qin Feng's name was never called. After closing the roster, Bai Yuan saluted the division commander and the regiment commander. After receiving their acknowledgement, he hopped onto one of the vehicles and instructed the convoy to depart. Before long, the vehicles slowly drove away from the new recruit company, with each new recruit looking back eagerly. Once, they dreamed of escaping the new recruit company. But now that they were actually leaving, they felt an overwhelming sense of reluctance. Li Jiaxing leaned out of the car window, wiping away his tears with his sleeve. Qi Meng lay in the back of the transport truck, staring blankly at the departing barracks. They wondered if they would ever encounter someone as good as Qin Feng as their deputy or as responsible as Zhao Pingfei as their squad leader again. Lu Yong, you take Qin Feng and that kid to the vehicle and report to the company. Yes, company commander. A young second lieutenant opened the door and helped load their bags onto the vehicle. Seeing Chen Sanchi sitting next to him in the back seat, Qin Feng was momentarily taken aback. After learning the reason, he couldn't help but laugh. This kid was deliberately assigned to him by Qiu Guohai out of frustration, just to annoy him. However, Gu Xiong didn't mind and directly sent him to logistics to help out in the kitchen. Getting assigned to the same company as Qin Feng and Zhao Pengfei, and not having to train, Chen Sanchi felt like a complete winner in life. Almost laughing in his dreams, he grinned and nudged Qin Feng's arm, whispering, "Deputy squad leader, just tell me what you want to eat in the future. Once I learn to cook, I'll make special meals for you every day." Qin Feng laughed and didn't refuse. He suddenly thought of his college days when his roommate worked part-time at the cafeteria. Every time he wanted to get food, he would get several times the portion of meat compared to others. With logistics not only having the squad leader but also Chen Sanchi around, it would be hard for Qin Feng to go hungry. "Kid, do you think the army's cafeteria is your family's? You think you can have special meals every day?" Lu Yong, driving the vehicle, glanced at the rearview mirror and frowned in annoyance. Chen Sanchi, with a silly grin, scratched his head and said, "Squad leader, I was just speaking casually." Lu Yong rolled his eyes, choosing not to look at this foolish guy again. After all, he was just an extra that Xiao Guohai had brought along to irritate others, so he was of no importance. Instead, Lu Yong occasionally cast his gaze towards Qin Feng, who was enjoying the scenery in the back row. He was quite curious about this soldier. What kind of person could achieve so much in basic training? Just how impressive must he be to attract the attention of so many squad leaders? He had heard that these squad leaders almost got into a fight in the commander's office over him. "Qin Feng, I'm Lu Yong, the squad leader of the second squad, and I'll be your squad leader. I just graduated from military academy last year, so I hope to learn from you in the future." Lu Yong introduced himself very politely, as if he were speaking to a peer. Qin Feng looked at the rearview mirror and returned a friendly smile to the squad leader. "Squad leader, you don't need to be so polite. I'm just a new recruit. If I have any questions in the future, I'll definitely ask for your guidance." Lu Yong scratched his nose and replied with an all right. But to be honest, he felt a bit uneasy. He had heard that this guy was exceptionally talented and learned things very quickly. In just 10 days or so, he could reach the level of a veteran. During his first live-fire exercise, he managed to hit 5 bullseyes. Therefore, Lu Yong thought it would be wise to be a bit more courteous to Qin Feng. With this guy's abilities, it wouldn't be long before he would have to salute him. Qin Feng, on the other hand, never thought of himself as anything special. Even though Lu Yong was very polite to him, he maintained his respect and courtesy towards his superior. This immediately increased Lu Yong's fondness for him, and he enthusiastically introduced various matters about the unit along the way, helping both Qin Feng and Chen Sanchi to better understand life in the unit after they joined. "Let us go to the office and talk," Lu Cheng said, walking towards the company office with his hands behind his back. Xiao Guohai and Gu Xiong exchanged glances and quickly followed. Upon arriving at the office, Gu Xiong respectfully made a cup of tea for the commander and handed it over. "You two can sit. There are no outsiders here." "Yes, Commander." After they sat down, Lu Cheng got straight to the point. "I'm planning to arrange a combat drill in a week, letting the Steelblade Company assess the strength of your border defense regiment and the training results of the past few days." Hearing this, Xiao Guohai's heart sank. Just as he feared, they were going to pit them against each other. "No problem, Commander. Our regiment is always ready for inspection." "Good, then you can select 5 companies, and we'll have a match behind your regiment's rear mountain." Hearing the commander's words, Gu Xiong's eyes nearly popped out. "Wait, what is going on? Aren't we supposed to be testing the border defense regiment? Why are we being asked to fight 5 against 1? Is that acceptable?" Lu Cheng showed no intention of explaining and directly glanced at Gu Xiong. Gu Xiong's face looked as if he had eaten something unpleasant, but he could only grit his teeth and agree. This, however, made Xiao Guohai beside them very pleased. He realized that the commander intended to achieve 2 goals with 1 action. "Xiao Guohai, you go back first. I need to talk to him alone." "Understood." As soon as Xiao Guohai stepped out of the office, he excitedly waved his fists toward the sky several times. He originally thought he would be the first to face the consequences, but he didn't expect the commander to take such good care of him. 5 companies against 1. Wasn't that a guaranteed win? In the office, Lu Cheng took a sip of tea and raised his eyes to look at Gu Xiong. "Do you find my arrangement hard to understand and unfair?" "No, we obey the orders of our superiors." Gu Xiong's tone was neither servile nor overbearing. He understood the commander's intentions as well. Lu Cheng said lightly, "If you can win this battle against 5, it shows that my choice was not wrong. Your company has a special existence, and many people question the validity of your existence. They think that in the 21st century, there shouldn't still be traditional units like yours. Therefore, I want to use you not only to train the border defense regiment, but also to prove to everyone that even in modern warfare, traditional units can still be effective. I have high hopes for you. Do you have the confidence to win this battle?" Gu Xiong straightened his chest and said, "I, along with all the soldiers of our Steelblade Company, have confidence in winning this battle." "Very good. That's the determination I wanted." Lu Cheng smiled and patted him on the back. "Go back and make preparations. I will personally be there to watch the battle in a week. Don't let me down." "Yes." Chapter 142. They are the ones going to the unit. and you are the Emperor visiting in disguise. Welcome, welcome, warmly welcome. Just now, Qin Feng arrived at the Steelblade Company. Suddenly, he was surrounded by a group of veterans. Just when he thought a brawl was about to break out. These people clapped enthusiastically like a face-changing act in Sichuan opera, leaving Qin Feng momentarily confused. You bunch of kids, are you that bored? You almost scared him. Lu Yong got out of the car and randomly kicked one of the leaders. One of the privates, with a Sichuan accent, smiled and said, "Squad leader. Look at what you're saying. We rushed out together, and he wasn't scared off, right?" Lu Yong slapped him on the head. "Niu Taijun, do you dare to talk back? Training time. Who allowed you to come here without permission, huh?" Niu Taijun adjusted his hat and chuckled. The instructor said a new comrade would be coming in the morning. We mainly wanted to give the new comrade a surprise. Lu Yong shot him a glare before turning to Qin Feng to explain. "Qin Feng, you've been assigned to the 2nd squad, 6th class. These unhinged guys are your classmates." Qin Feng immediately saluted everyone. "Hello, squad leaders. My name is Qin Feng, the Qin of Qin Emperor and Han Wu, and the Feng of Flourishing Winds." Got it, we've all seen it. The veterans from Class 6 gathered together, grinning as they spoke. Among them, there were 2 that he indeed recognized from when he bought something at the convenience store. However, he really didn't know any of the others. Noticing the confusion on Qin Feng's face, one of them immediately laughed and said, "The commendation ceremony at the main auditorium. You were on stage, and we were all below the stage. Didn't we meet then? It's just a pity that we know you, but you don't know us. You were quite impressive back then. Come on, let us take your luggage to store it first, and then we'll introduce you to the glorious history of our unit." With that, a group of veterans began to compete to help Qin Feng carry his bags. This overwhelming enthusiasm left Qin Feng a bit at a loss. He wanted to carry it himself, but the veterans wouldn't give him the chance. "You go with them to store your luggage first. I still need to take this kid to report to logistics. I'll come find you later," Lu Yong said with a smile, patting him on the back before getting back in the vehicle. Chen Sanchi sat in the car, watching Qin Feng, who was surrounded by a group of veterans. "Brother Feng is amazing. Wherever he goes, he's treated like royalty. When can I enjoy such treatment?" However, little did he know that at that moment, Qin Feng was feeling extremely awkward and wished he could find a hole to hide in. "I'm just a new recruit, and I'm being escorted by so many people. Carrying my bag. If someone didn't know better, they'd think I'm an old officer here for an inspection. Squad leader, how about I carry it myself? I can manage." "No way. Our squad leader, your new recruit squad leader Zhao Pengfei, said that if we dared to bully you, he would hang us up and whip us. Besides, it's our honor to carry the bag for a first-class meritorious soldier. Don't you all agree?" "Yeah." The group of veterans responded cheerfully. This left Qin Feng utterly baffled. It said that new recruits are treated well, but he felt like he was being treated like a king. Meanwhile, not far away at the tactical training ground, 2 new recruits who had just crawled through the barbed wire stood up, covered in dirt. Upon seeing the scene not far away, they all had looks of complete confusion. Who was that surrounded by the veterans? A young officer who just arrived? What officer? He's just another new recruit like us. A new recruit? One named Lu Xiaowang furrowed his brow in doubt. How could a new recruit receive such treatment? The veterans are even carrying his luggage. "We didn't get this kind of treatment when we arrived yesterday." "Yeah, among the new recruits in our division, you should be the best, Lu. If even you didn't get such treatment, why does that kid deserve it?" Hearing the flattery from those around him, Lu Xiaowang raised his chin, his chest puffing up a bit. In fact, aside from Qin Feng, there were also other new recruits assigned here. But they did not come from the Border Defense Regiment's new recruit company, rather from the division's new training instructional team. In simple terms, this was a large new recruit company that accommodated even more recruits. Lu Xiaowang, being among the top 3 in the graduation assessment from the training team, was naturally assigned here. Looking not far away, surrounded by veterans, was a face as handsome and striking as a reader's father. Lu Xiaowang frowned, feeling a bit displeased. I guess this kid was either the son of some division commander or the grandson of a deputy commander. Damn. Isn't he just like Xiao Mengsheng in the flower crown at the foot of the mountain? Are you 2 just here to enjoy the scenery? Climbing a tactic. And you're actually chatting. The irritable squad leader came over and kicked one of them. The 2 new recruits dared not say a word and hurried back to stand in line. Lu Xiaowang understood a principle. No matter how impressive you were in the recruit company, here you were still nothing. Because in the eyes of veterans, no matter how capable you were still a rookie. An upper private might be a bit different. But once a sergeant from the 1st or 2nd term came along, they could easily bring you down. So, you had to endure. Endure until you could transition from 1 to 2 stripes. Endure until the next batch of recruits came, and then they could truly stand up. The squad leader stood with his hands on his hips, watching the backs of the 6th squad leave, feeling quite dissatisfied. Damn it, Lu Yong really got lucky. Why didn't the instructor assign Qin Feng to our squad? Sigh. If I had known earlier, I would have slipped the instructor a couple of packs of cigarettes. Soon. With the enthusiastic help of a group of veterans, Qin Feng had his bag stored away. The process was actually quite similar to the recruit company, involving inventory checks, proper registration, and handing in phones. This is our 6th Squad S dormitory. Qin Feng stood in the third-floor corridor, looking into one of the dorm rooms. Clean, tidy, bright. And the space was considerably larger than in the recruit company. Although there were still bunk beds, these metal frame beds looked noticeably newer and sturdier. At this moment, a man with a square face was sitting in the dormitory, wearing the insignia of a second-term sergeant. Class Vice. Oh no, class leader. We brought Qin Feng here to report. Niu Taijun reported to the man who was maintaining firearms inside. The man then glanced over with his peripheral vision and snorted coldly. Are you all very idle? Just a new recruit, and you all came out? Does he not have hands or feet? Can't he walk over himself? Upon hearing this, the veterans of the 6th Squad all showed slightly awkward expressions. Even Qin Feng frowned slightly. He didn't understand why the class leader spoke so harshly right after he arrived. Report to the class leader, Private Qin Feng is here to report. The man wiped the gun oil from his hands, stood up, and walked over to him. You don't need to introduce yourself. Your reputation has already spread throughout our company. But I want to tell you, don't think that just because you've achieved first-class merit, you're something special. In my eyes, even if the King of Heaven came, as long as you hold the rank of private, you're still just a rookie who hasn't even grown hair yet. Understood, class leader. Although Qin Feng felt a bit displeased, he did not argue. After all, the man wasn't wrong. He was indeed just a recruit for now. Even going to military school was a matter for next year. After all, the military school had already started, and he couldn't just be thrown in halfway. Yet even so, the man still wore a stern expression. With a serious expression, he started to go through the procedures. Let me introduce myself. My name is Wu Jin, and I am the acting class leader of Class 6. Number 9 is your exclusive locker, where you can store your military uniform and toiletries. Additionally, your bed is below mine. Personally, I really dislike it when someone snores. If you disturb me while sleeping at night, I will throw a basin of cold water on you. Yes, Qin Feng doesn't snore while sleeping, so I'm not worried about this issue. However, his obedient attitude made Wu Jin frown in displeasure once again. He was waiting for Qin Feng to make a mistake, to confront him, but this guy seemed unbothered. Make your bed, he ordered. Yes. Qin Feng opened his backpack and started to make his bed. Other veterans wanted to come over to help, but they were all deterred by Wu Jin's glare. Doesn't he have hands? This person was a model for dormitory management in the recruit company. Why do you need to meddle? Stay out of it. Yes, class leader. The veterans pulled out their stools and began to clean their weapons diligently. Qin Feng acted as if he hadn't heard anything, quietly focusing on his own tasks. Yet Wu Jin showed no sign of letting him off the hook, standing behind him like a ghost, coldly staring. Is everyone watching the Olympics? Why does it seem like nobody is paying attention? If you are, make a sound. Chapter 143. This soldier is a bit too smart. Qin Feng, take a break. Stop and have a drink. Thanks, I'm not thirsty. Qin Feng emerged from under the bed and smiled at Niu Taijun, who was bringing a cup of water. Then, he crawled back under the bed and continued cleaning with a cloth. Just a moment ago, after Qin Feng had made his bed and arranged his personal items, Wu Jin deliberately found fault with his toothbrush not being placed neatly, using it as a reason to claim it was a failure in dormitory management. He ordered him to take the cloth and clean every corner of the dormitory thoroughly. Just when the veterans of Class 6 thought that Qin Feng would surely explode in anger at the acting class leader's unreasonable nitpicking, he surprisingly took out a used toothbrush from his bag, applied toothpaste, and silently knelt down to scrub the grout on the tiles. Wu Jin's expression twitched at this action, feeling as if every punch he threw landed on cotton. He decided to leave the dormitory for some fresh air. The remaining veterans were also left bewildered. They say even a clay Buddha has a bit of temper. At 18 or 19, young people are full of energy, easily angered and impulsive. On the street, a simple "what are you looking at?" could spark a fight. You are a soldier with a top honor. Why don't you say something back? Why act like a soft persimmon, showing no temper at all, just letting others take advantage of you? It was hard to understand. Truly hard to understand. After a while, Qin Feng crawled out from under the bed, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and said, "Class leaders, I'm done with my work. Since there's no training in the morning, I'm just sitting around. Do you have any dirty clothes? I can help you wash them." "Don't. Please don't. We can handle the washing ourselves. You just take a break and sit down." Seeing that Qin Feng had already picked up a basin, the old soldiers quickly moved it away in fear. They forcibly made Qin Feng sit on a stool to rest, and even brought him a cup of water. "Qin Feng, honestly, do you have a tendency for self-sacrifice?" "No, I don't." "Then why aren't you angry when the acting squad leader treats you like that?" Qin Feng smiled and said, "Why should I be angry? I'm new here, so it's only right that I do more work, and I actually think the acting squad leader is quite good. He is helping me correct my mistakes." Niu Taijun gave him a thumbs up. Impressive, really impressive. Otherwise, How could you have saved so many people in the fire? With your attitude, you deserve a first-class merit. The others nodded in agreement, expressing their strong approval. If it were any of them, just joining the unit and being inexplicably targeted and made things difficult, they would have already smashed the basin and thrown cups, cursing in anger. However, one soldier named Wang Guowei hesitated for a moment and said, "Don't blame the acting squad leader. He's actually not like this usually. It's because of squad leader Zhao's situation that he's targeting you like this." At first, Qin Feng did feel a bit upset about being mocked by Wu Jing, but considering his position as the acting squad leader, as well as the empty bed in the bunk below, along with the inexplicable dislike directed towards him, it was not hard to deduce that Wu Jing and Zhao Pengfei must have a special relationship. Imagine if the squad leader, who usually